You are live.
What's up, everybody? We are live. Welcome to L Big League Show for the 2026 MLB Draft. Man, good to see you guys again. Did this last year, bringing it back, getting the band together, adding some new members to the band. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. My name is Danny Enriquez. As always, I am here with former MLB exec, current artist, always got his eye on the next crop. That is Adrian Lorenzo. To my left, Adrian, how we doing?
We're doing great, man. We're doing great. I missed this show, and that's kind of the reason it's coming together right now, because there's like a big, kind of like a good midway point of the season, as well as the MLB draft, which I think is an covered, right? Which is why Nico's on, which we'll get to in a second. But it felt like we needed to have an episode, and we hadn't had one because, well, you're a celebrity now, first of all, so you're live streaming every day. And I'm getting ready to welcome another child into the world. So like just more like busy and haven't been able to give this show the attention it deserves this year. But I feel like for certain checkpoints and for certain bubbling points, we can really do it. So I'm hyped. I'm hyped to be back.
No hype for this one. Hyped to have Nico from Prospect Porch. Talk about who knows these kids better than anybody, man. Nico. And you're their age, man, so you're up on the game, man. But just talk about what you do at Prospect Porch and some of the prep you've done for this draft.
Yeah, so my name's Nico. I'm the founder of the Prospect Porch, which is a website and social media channel focused, year-round on covering the draft and amateur prospects. I've got a website with over 200 scouting reports, news articles, stats on a lot of these players you're going to hear called today. So if you're interested in kind of just learning more about a certain player when you hear their name called, definitely go check that out. I'm excited to talk draft. This is one of my favorite days of the year. And I would say there's going to be, content going up on our socials during this. So definitely look out for that. And then, after this, I'm going to be covering the, 2027, at least the start of the 2027 MLB draft cycle. I'll be dropping, an initial board in a couple days, and then later this summer, I'll either be down in the Cape Cod League or at Area Codes. So gonna have a ton of content coming out of there. Video, reports, graphics, anything you could think of. So if you're someone who, like me, who enjoys the draft and amateur prospects in general, I definitely suggest dropping us a follow. It's at Prospect Porch on all socials, and the website is prospectporch.com. So really excited to be here with you guys and talk draft.
I got to open right now. It's a little cheat sheet. Looks great, by the way. I'm fired up to dig into some of this. And we're here with – go ahead.
No. I'm going to welcome Red, and you're going to be – but I don't want to blow past Nico here, because the way that he and I line up together is through just kind of being in baseball-interested circles. And obviously, by his description there, you can tell he's more than interested in baseball, especially in the niche aspect of the amateur player and the draft and all of that. Definitely for such a young age, but also like the moment we connected, which was through roundabout ways, I immediately saw like something different, right? Like something different, not only in the coverage, but in the interest, and then in the wherewithal and the knowledge. And he's just, every time we talk about baseball, he's already plugged in, and I feel like he already knows more than me. And I'm like, but you're not supposed to know all that or kind of have this wherewithal, but it's there's a reason he's here today, and I think he's going to be the one talking the most probably because these players better than I do, right? Like this is one of the drafts where I don't feel as locked in as I would otherwise be, because I'm not in like a draft-focused granular level. So it's a good layer of depth to add to the overall group. So.
But don't sell yourself short, because I know you've been watching a lot of these. I've seen some names here on the college side that me and you have been talking about for a long, long time, and on the high school side too, actually, that you have some personal insight on. So don't sell yourself short. Plus, we're going to get your reactions to some of the movements and just kind of instant reaction to some of the things we see. We got my guy, Big Red, Pride of Belen Jesuit right there at Cosmo Tires. You're looking for the next Kevin McGonigal. I know you're a big dynasty player, so you're looking at this. You're trying to find, hey, who's my McGonigal? Who's my Weatherhold? Who's the next guy for your team?
Yeah, overall perspective of a fan. I'm a fan of the show.
Appreciate it.
And then I'm a fan of baseball, so I think you're going to get to see the fans' perspective of what what a draft looks like to us, and then you're going to see the difference in knowledge between a guy like Nico, who's been, he's in it, and a guy like Adrian, who's worked front office. I think it's great. I totally relate to, now doing the show with 2 kids. I just had 2 under 2, so I'm in the thick of it
Yeah,
with
you're-
the kids. Yeah,
wow.
I'm in the thick of it. It's wild. But I'm really interested in what Nico's got to say. I mean, 17 years old or 18 years old, young guy, future GM right here. This could be something we look back and go, man, look how much knowledge this guy had at such a young age. So
It's off to a
props to you.
hot start. Off to a hot start.
5-tool analyst.
But just to give some more context, Red and I are high school teammates at
Yes.
Belen Jesuit, who's actually having a moment. I'm sick of all this Columbus Heisman Trophy first round pick. No all-stars, but Belen Jesuit has an
Nick
all-star.
Martinez, friend of the
Nick
show,
Martinez,
right? Yeah.
the friend of the show, podcast alumnus. We were teammates in high school,
Yeah.
and we were privy to some pretty interesting South Florida draft picks.
Yes.
And I know that you follow South Florida specifically very closely.
Yes.
And so, just thinking of guys when we were playing together, Gabby Hernandez, Gio Gonzalez,
Alex Garabedian.
Alex Garabedian. Adrian Cardenas was actually just in the studio the other day here. Remember Adrian Cardenas?
So I have a story on Adrian. Adrian, we were playing in a tournament in Orlando, and we were all staying in the same hotel. I come down to the lobby, and Adrian is ripping it, classical piano.
Unbelievable.
I was blown away by him as a talented baseball player. Being
Is it the Bishop Moore tournament?
Yeah, Bishop Moore. that has
I
other
was there.
controversy. Yeah, but Adrian, you go down, you see him playing piano, and I was blown away.
Not
by
me, Adrian.
Just
Adrian
Adrian Cardenas. I mean, just unbelievable. And then I follow his career. I think he finished with the Cubs, or where was his last team?
He
at?
broke through with the Cubs. It was a first round comp pick, I believe. So back end of the first, or in
Right.
that comp pick round.
by the Reds.
So Roby Ramos, one of our partners at Casa Cultura, which is where we're at.
Shout out to Robbie.
786 Sports here. But he told me he was going to have a meeting with Adrian Cardenas, and did I know him? And when that name came up, I was like, do I know that guy? Yeah. It's like saying the best player for the national champion Monsignor Pace team, who was stacked. He was the best
Yes.
player. He wasn't even the top pick.
You had the Marrero brothers. You
Chris
had-
Chris Marrero
And Nene.
went 15th overall, I think, that year to the Nationals.
Correct.
So-
Yeah.
But the player of the year in Florida was Adrian Cardenas.
Correct.
He hit if you pull up his stats right now, they're actually it's dumb.
Was
He
Gio
would hit
Gonzalez on that team, by the way? Or was he too young?
well,
not that season, but they did
Yes.
have overlap. The year before, Gio would have gone in the first round to Oakland, I believe. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But I was trying to tell Roby, I was like, do I know Adrian Cardenas? You don't understand. Like during this was like my peak era of high school.
That's
I
right.
was like a sophomore his senior year. And he literally hit like 600 with 20 homers.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
And he was like, it was unbelievable.
And
And now he's making films. He went to NYU film school. He's like,
Well, and
Sounds
then
familiar.
you want to hate on him, right? Because you're Belen and he's the
Yeah.
rival, and you
No.
want to hate on him, and then you talk to him, and
Nicest
he's like
guy
the
ever.
kindest person. And then you're like, all right, whatever. He's good at baseball. He's really nice,
Yeah.
great. And then you go to the hotel lobby and he's ripping piano. I'm like, dude, like, how many tools? That's a 6-tool guy, dude. Like he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And played great. I mean, he was great defensively as well, right? I
no,
mean,
he's a stud. First round, 37th overall in the 2006 draft to the Phillies.
yeah.
But breaks through, has his major league time with the Cubs, but raked all through AAA.
Right.
So I think it's kind of a good segue. And I wanted to give context to, like, you've been following South Florida baseball closely ever since.
Yeah. So I graduated high school. I wasn't good enough to go play, any Division I or anything. I had little offers, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna stay here. And I ended up coaching for 5 years at Belen. One of the young guys, and I'm not gonna take, like, I coached him, but I didn't really coach him. I was basically his age. Was Nick Martinez. I got to see his rise. Right.
Wow, that's
Nick,
a great
yeah,
story.
Nick,
dude.
yeah, Nick was he's what class is he to you?
I was class of 07. So my senior year, Nick was a junior.
Right. So I'm coaching.
Yeah.
I'm 3 years older. I'm 05, right? So I'm 2 years older.
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
coaching him. I'm seeing him come up,
Right.
and he was a shortstop, and he played infield, and he had a great arm. And we used to try him out in
Yeah.
pitching. He used to actually kind of get upset every time we wanted to, like, tell him take the bat from him and have him pitch. And he ends up being a pitcher. And honestly, like, he's a great story. I mean, these drafts are insanely deep, and you really don't know. I mean, in my opinion, he wasn't supposed to get as far as he's gone. And I mean, props to him. The guy's turned out to have an unbelievable career. But I got to see Nick really young, dealing with a lot of insecurities that some of these ball players deal with. He has a great arm, great tools, great hands. Nick had great
I don't
hands.
know. We could talk about this for a long time.
Yeah, Nick had great hands, and then struggled a bit offensively and goes to college, and they're like, yo, you're a pitcher. And I mean, that guy's
So I'm glad we talk about this. Any chance we get to talk about Nick Martinez is a good day, especially when he just made the All-Star team at 35 years old. You know, like has had a few reinventions as even a pitcher, but the ultimate reinvention is position player to pitcher, because my senior year, for example, Nick didn't get a lot of time.
No,
he didn't get a lot of playing time at all. He was more like he had really good hands, could play shortstop. He had a really nice left-handed swing, but hitting is just fucking hard.
Yeah,
you know, like hitting is just
pitch.
difficult.
I was coaching. He couldn't hit
and
the
he
outside
wasn't
pitch
as physical as he is now.
No.
You know, like, and so Nick didn't. It's amazing. Like, you can get not even be the primary guy on your high school team at that moment, and he's the big leaguer with like tens of millions of dollars in free agency and an All-Star game, and he's going to pitch for another 10 years. Watch.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like you have one conversation with him and you realize like why he's gotten where he's gotten, because it's an 18th round pick after his junior year at Fordham. So he could have gone back to Fordham for a senior year, but he was a position player the whole way through there. He would just close for Fordham. So he played.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Nicky was pretty good. Like, and Fordham was a good program at that point in time. So Nick's he was like a good position player, but those thresholds are really high, man. To like, you got to really bang to make it, to break through. And he found a little pocket pitching. And you know this, he was always one of the best athletes.
He was extremely smart.
Always
amazing
one of the best
hands,
athletes.
really good footwork. I mean, the guy, he had it all. Like, if it was the last inning and you needed like a defensive stop, like that's the guy you brought in. Great athlete. Just the bat wasn't coming around in high school. And what was amazing is now you talk to Nick. Now he's a grown man. You know, he's got a family and all that. And his work ethic. Like, he never stopped working. Even in high school, his work ethic was, I mean, you're scouting players, right? So you have all the, like, the intent, you know, the things you can see on the field. But that work ethic, and I see him now, he'll go back to Belen and he'll be training, and he's just constantly working, which I think is, like, I think the second breath of his career was that changeup, right? Adrian, was it like he developed some changeup?
To be fair, so we can go deep on this one because I've followed Nick's journey and I've kind of been there running parallel with it in my own like career, and like I've always touched base. Like we could say at one point we had a signed paper where I was at an agency and I was like the first agent. You know, that he, you know, we talked the day of the draft that he got picked. Yeah. You know, so I've kind of been following the journey at all these different checkpoints, and very, very few guys do what he does in terms of preparation. If you ask him, he'll be serious about this. He's never missed a day of arm care. You know, like he's just kind of vibrating at a different level up there. And then he has some really athletic gifts, you know, and then came into some physicality a little later in his 22, 23, 24. And now you get up on Nick. Nick's a fucking beast, bro. He's strong and he's explosive, but he has he has made me believe in, I get goosebumps, but like manifestation.
Yes.
Because that guy has ultimate conviction, you know, and despite all, like, even when getting to the big leagues, he shot up there really quickly because he could throw strikes. Right. And he had pitch ability.
And a little bit of good. Texas had a lot of injuries, and he kind of was trending up.
And he was always been, you know, he's always been healthy, right? Like Nick has like a remarkable track record of health. So he was able to like kind of catch these breaks and opportunities without the lulls of like little Nick, a little setback, a little like, you know, so he had that going for him. But then he had to do like, he was like primarily like sinker slider cutter when he first comes up with the Rangers. And this was in this era before we discovered like TrackMan 4-seam ride, above the bat, below, right? Like Nick's actual profile with the changeup was vertical, like under.
Right.
He found his pocket of big league success with 4-seam changeup, 4-seam curveball, 12-6 above and below. But with the Rangers, it was more sinker slider, which kind of, it can get you ground balls, but it could lead to you being on the fat part of the bat. So if you think about it, you're just kind of, every pitch and a cutter even runs onto that same plane of the bat. That's why you've seen more miss with the 4-seam guys, because they're off the plane, right? Like you're just exploding above. But the sinker naturally, especially right-handed sinker to left-handed bat, is like the worst combination, because you just like you run a sinker out and it goes right into the barrel plane. And so Nick, when he first gets to the big leagues, is more sinker slider, which at that moment I thought it got you to the big leagues quick. But then he got kind of like, he couldn't like miss bats necessarily at the big league level.
Right. They picked up on, like they got the report, right?
Well, it's just, and he was one of those quad A guys, like up and down. Right. You get there and then you have 3 options. And so you're the first guy down. You're down big in a game, buddy, you're going to wear it for 4 innings today, and then you're getting set down to AAA. And bam, I'm back.
Right.
Imagine 3 full seasons of that.
Right.
To the point where he runs out of options, minor league options, and then he gets granted his free agency as a result of not having options anymore. And that's when Asia becomes kind of a, like an appealing.
Japan or Taiwan?
He went to Japan.
Should have been a Marlin, but that's a whole nother story.
I don't want to get into that.
What's his ERA now? He's sub-2, right?
No. So we can actually, it's not even about ERA, man. Like he's in
His WAR was stupid too. I think
not
I
only
think he's
WAR, but I'm
number
gonna put it
one
on.
team.
I'm gonna put it on the screen here. So I'm gonna add it to the stage. Excuse me. Baseball Savant is it's my go-to whenever I'm looking at big league stuff. Like it's my first cue. I think they have the cleanest presentation. But Nick is 98th percentile in walk rate.
Wow.
So like walks the fewest guys in the league, or among like the elite 2% of guys, and has an off-speed run value, which is the changeup of the 97th percentile, which means it's one of the elite changeups in the game with elite command. Like you're not walking anybody, and your changeup is playing like an elite pitch in baseball. But his fastball run value, despite just being kind of sinker average 93, 94, bumping 6s when he's feeling good, his fastball run value is in the 91st percentile. So he has like an elite fastball changeup, despite having a whiff and a K percentage in the fourth percentile. So one of the kind of doesn't miss bats, not missing bats, and not suffering as a result of it. An all-star as a result of this profile in this era where we're going. So he's like, he corrected to being 4-seam changeup, and now it's really more of like a sinker changeup that's kind of leading the charge now. Like when he's not trying to miss bats, he's just trying to induce weak contact and get what I think is his best attribute is first pitch strikes. This guy, like to Nick's case for 2026 is like a lesson to all pitchers in the value of first pitch strikes. And the Tampa Bay Rays are a lesson as an organization in that sense. So him hitting, he could already do what like they ideally would want a pitcher to do, which is full arsenal, because he has usage of all sinker, changeup, cutter, 4-seam, curveball, slider, and he uses them all. Slider is 3%.
By the way, with the lowest walk rate, so you command them all, right? Like,
but any pitch, any count, and especially any pitch 0-0. So when you can start any at bat 0-0 with whatever you want,
right,
bro? Like he was telling me like the percentages on this, they're wild. Like once you get like percentages with guys 0-0, like you don't want to swing 0-0 really.
Okay.
There's a couple guys. Acuna can really jump you 0-0, but like most guys don't want to roll over to second base, or they don't want to pop out on the first pitch, and now the pitcher has a 1 pitch, 1 out kind of situation. So you have a free strike if you want it. Not totally free. Some guys are going to jump you, and that's why you can't just go fastball first strike.
Right.
And that's what I think Nick is finding. Like he can flip something in there quick, a 12-6 curveball, a changeup, 0-0, and he knows he can get it for a strike. And so to me, it's like count leverage. He lives in like elite count leverage is what it looks like.
And then sprinkle in, he could start relief, long relief, bullpen.
Yeah, but he can. And I think it's a result of his preparation and how the things he does, which we got into in the episode when we did it with him. But I don't think he's going back to the bullpen.
Yeah.
I think like he's an all-star starting pitcher.
And what are the Rays? Like the Rays, to me, they're the cockroaches of the MLB. Like a nuclear holocaust are coming out alive. I don't get it. I'm just like unbelievable. These guys just constantly just farm. They trade away Aros to Seattle, right? Yeah, they trade him away, and all of a sudden you're back.
That's a good segue. I would use kind of different terminology because I think that system just does a lot of the simple things well.
Right.
And they're ahead enough of the curve. They're not in this like rocket science. Because like when you ask people about what the Rays do, and then you see players that come through there and talk about it, it's shockingly simple. It's not like this like algorithm that's incalculable. It's like the baseball math is shockingly simple. Now they have their ways of evaluating players and it gets formulaic, but in terms of the actual gameplay, throw strikes, control the count. And now they're doing little things like bunting and hitting and running, and because that's the efficiency now that everybody has gone away from it. Yeah, it ironically is the kind of like the margin of like where there's an inefficiency in the game,
which I'm a fan of.
And I think connecting it to what I wanted to start with here, because we're what 32 minutes away.
I love it, man. How we're gonna fill up time till the draft starts, man. We got to talk about the Marlins. Also,
it's a good segue. The Rays into the Marlins is like a very relevant kind of segue
Number
here.
6
So.
in OPS right now. I just pulled it up.
The Marlins are?
Number 9, the Rays. So they're hitting. I mean, Rays, you got Yandy, you got, Ananda, you got obviously Caminero. So, like, they got boppers too. But the Marlins, I saw they were winning. Obviously, I'm a Marlins fan. I watch every game. I didn't take a statistical deep dive until maybe a couple days ago. I am shocked by what's under the hood, at least under the common stats, like 6 in OPS. We know about the pitching calling it, which is a controversial thing. I want to get your take on because it seems to be working. But, like, man, that lineup, you feel like you're in every single game. Even a game like yesterday, which I was out there where, you had the opposing starting pitcher working. It feels like the Marlins are in every game now. 2023, I won't say smoke and mirrors, but a lot of close games. Like, this is a real lineup, at least statistically. Feels like that as a fan. You tell me, Adrian, watching this team from a scouting perspective, like, is this the most for real Marlins team since we were kids?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to argue against that at this point, and they have like the track record right now on their side. And I feel like I've been suspicious just of, like, how do you make it work on paper with what this is? But they figured something out in the way that they play every single day. So, like, they have a high floor of how they could perform, and they stay right around that floor. I feel like you don't really see too many dips and, like, because it's balanced in that sense. There isn't like one guy carrying the torch, and if that guy has a bad day offensively, you're not scoring runs that day, which I think the better Marlins teams leaned on a little more of that, right? So they're just, it's really well balanced, and also they freaking found I can't overstate this. Like, you found your franchise shortstop through a waiver claim.
Bobby Witt's WAR numbers with
through a waiver claim. I don't think people know what a waiver claim is. Like, a waiver claim is a guy on the 26-man roster who gets activated, or he was on Toronto's 26-man roster or 40, and your way of getting removed, you're either out of options or you get removed from the 40, right? And then you get exposed to waivers once that happens. Every team has a chance to claim you, but I want to, like, reiterate, you're not making a waiver claim with the expectation that you're going to get anything more than, like, best case, like a bandage for the week. Best case.
Really?
Like some teams feel better about their waiver claims than this. And if you've done worse the year before, you get first crack. Like, the order of the claim order is steered in favor of the teams that, are toward the bottom. So you'll get first crack at the better players on waivers, but the best players don't get exposed to waivers. So
they've gone through everyone else's
pool
filter, right? Like,
and Otto Lopez, to me, feels like when was the last time a waiver claim became a franchise player at shortstop with, like, WAR across? Like, if you pull up his,
was it the one I remember with the Marlins? Was it Ugla?
Well, Ugla was Rule 5. Rule 5, which, by the way, Liam Hicks too.
So we'll get to that too. We'll get to that too. But, like, the waiver claim one shocks me because Rule 5, bro, you prepare for Rule 5. You treat a Rule 5, your pro scouting department in the Rule 5 draft. And my brother works in this space, and I've gone through a few Rule 5s. You prepare for that like it's a draft. Like, it's a quick 2 picks. Maybe you pick, maybe you don't, maybe you pass. But because the threshold is you have to carry that player for the entire season unless you want to expose him to waivers.
Right.
So, like, in the Rule 5 pick, you have to pick somebody who you feel can stick on your 26-man the whole year. And when you divide it into 13 and 13, 26, 13 and 13, 13 pitchers, 13 position players, it gets really specific as to what you need out of each spot. You can't just, like, carry a guy on there and stash him in the back of your roster. You need that spot. So, like, to carry a Rule 5 guy is very, very difficult. But if you make it all the way through, he enters your system with full options. If you get through that whole time.
And how did you guys differentiate a guy like Otto? Like, is it an anomaly or is it his new standard? How do you say, okay, we caught him now, maybe this is a moment to trade him because he's not gonna continue that? Or is this one of those, maybe something clicked? Like, how would you guys in the front office make that determination? Or is that something you just ride the wave while you have it because you got him on the cheap,
I don't know. It depends on the evaluation that you have of the player. And you guys, like, I was not there for this decision, so I have no, like, working on no inside information.
Hold on. Let me throw a counter. You were there for Trevor Richards, Nick Anderson, for Jesus Sanchez. That would be kind of this flavor of what Red's talking about, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Right.
in that sense. But like it's all dependent on context. Like depends on what you need on your roster. You're gonna if a player at your need position shows up on waivers, sometimes you're bleeding and you need a left-handed reliever, and a guy gets put on waivers, and it's your saving grace for an amount of time.
Right.
Not to become your starting shortstop. You know how hard it is to get a starting shortstop? Like,
Of course, we'll find out right now.
There
in this
I
draft
can-
when
yeah,
they all
exactly.
come off the board.
There I can speak to like my time with the Marlins, because that was like the Moby Dick, like in the Great White Whales, like trying to get
The bane of your existence.
that too. But like what you're chasing is like a cornerstone shortstop.
Right.
Which is funny. We saw Khalil Watson.
We can get
yesterday,
into that too.
Who was not anywhere near right now. He's succeeded to get to the majors, but
Right.
obviously comparing him to Otto, it's like this guy looked the
No,
part.
and Joe Mack getting there first, and like there's this whole other. We can get into this for a
hold on, I want
while.
to start with this because this was my thought yesterday at the game, which was this goes back to me, this story with the Marlins to last year, because really, if you look at the sample after that Colorado Rockies sweep last year, that's been this Marlins team really rocking and rolling. And to me, Joe Mack is part of it, because Joe Mack, when he came, was
Definitely.
the next game changer to the next level. But putting him aside,
Definitely.
when Otto Lopez and Xavier Edwards switched, and Otto Lopez became the shortstop, Edwards became the second baseman. And then this year, when Kyle Stowers goes from outfield to first, and I don't know if you saw the game yesterday, he was making some insane plays yesterday at first base and really throughout. Like, he looks more than adequate. Like, he looks good, smooth, athletic, like awesome. Like, I'm not as familiar with the landscape. Is this that common for these position switches within your own major league roster to bear such fruit, where like these guys, like Otto was a second baseman success story before he became a shortstop success story. Stauer, same thing. Edwards. So like, is this normal to move guys and then they blow up into these like all-star caliber players at a new position?
I mean, we can just go back to the Rays, right? Like I'm always on the side of versatility, and this is why as a scout you hunt shortstops, because once you can do that, you can kind of do everything else after that. Center field, if you're a left-handed thrower, same. If you're athletic enough, you should be able to handle the lower threshold positions. And handle and play it at a plus level are two totally different things. So like we'll see in terms of whether that first base, because first base is complex. It's receiving as well as like ground ball range. It's like this whole other skill set that's necessary. But the threshold, I think, is a little lower to not hurt your team there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of cover at first base if you have athleticism, and if you're not scared of the ball and things like that. Like there's the middle infield positions, and moving within the infield is more nuanced and difficult. Xavier Edwards is a shortstop. Watched him at Broward Prep. I actually saw him at a game at Belen as an amateur. And actually we have Manuel Padron over there who signed Santiago Suarez, who is the piece that accesses Xavier Edwards.
Thank you.
So Manny, we missed a lot, but we got one of those. Okay. It's good to see him be kind of a part of this core, but he came up as a shortstop, but he was kind of ill-positioned to be effective as a shortstop at the next level. He played it at a fair level, but there was like a shortness in the arm tool, I thought, right? And you need I don't think people understand what playing shortstop at the big league level is. Like, there are literally 30 guys that could do that, maybe 29.
And Otto he also played third, I think, too.
Yeah.
But
he's a shortstop. So his ability to bounce out of there, I believe in more than like if a third baseman had to go like play short all of a sudden, unless he was a shortstop already,
more range.
or go to second. That second base, third base is like a whole different skill set and position. But first base is a little lower of a threshold. Yeah. So, but my point with the Rays, like they trust that the player don't overexpose them at a certain position for too long. But you can show that a little bit, and it's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you. Let them get comfortable. And then all of a sudden, you're first base outfield capable on any given day after a certain amount of time. And now that gives you all sorts of range to do, especially teams that really follow left-right.
Yeah.
The Marlins follow platoon splits.
Yeah.
So do the Rays. They really diligently follow the platoon splits. And they end up having like a very high floor and often like a good probability to win baseball games. But to your question about that, like, it doesn't shock me that this is the way that they're stacking value. And Hicks has first base time too.
Yeah.
Like they have range and flexibility of what they can do. And I think they have really good 40-man roster management. it's like a revolving cast of guys in these different areas. Now Otto has cemented himself, but in the other positions, you see a little more of a movement through each position. Guys getting up, down, especially out of that bullpen. And that's the part I think the Rays are really good at. What I liked about dealing with the Rays always as a Marlin was how quickly they made deals.
Right.
They've gotten burned on a lot of deals too, but they're okay with that speed of transaction.
Right.
They know that the odds are going to be in our favor at some point. Keep making deals, keep staying active. There's certain teams that when you call them to talk about a trade, they'll get really coy. They'll get like, all right, like, what do you know that I don't? Like, what are you trying to? Right. And so you kind of, you posture. You start doing this like posture dance to a certain extent. But the Rays, I thought, were really refreshing and like, no, this is what we got. This is what we want. This is what we need. And then they would offer you players that you're already like, oh, most teams would have already offered me like 5 names that I didn't want until I warmed up to a name that I finally liked a little bit.
Right.
But they were willing
side,
to,
right?
They were seemingly willing to transact at like a fair level quickly. And I think that's why in trades, that's a big part of it.
In the world of business, right? You're a lawyer, so settlements, right? Like you want to act in good faith. The more times you act in good faith, more times people will transact.
100%.
More transactions, probability of success. I want to ask too, because you're talking about multiple positions.
Yep.
But when we were coming up, I'm a lot older than Nico, right? We're coming up. 2-way players was like a rarity, right? Like Gabby Hernandez, shortstop pitcher. But
third round
got
pick.
drafted as a pitcher, but was dropping bombs as a shortstop, right?
Yeah.
And so now the Ohtani era comes in. So Ohtani comes in. How long has Ohtani been in the league, and how long has he been that relevant? What, 8 years, 9 years? So
7, a decade almost.
Right.
Now,
So
right?
You're a young guy. At 8 years old, 9 years old, you're seeing that. Is the high school game now? Are there more 2-way players? Are people drafting them as 2-way players?
Well, we're about to talk about
this is relevant because one of the top 2-way players in the class kind of withdrew his name last night. So this is kind of relevant.
Who's this?
So Lucas Naraki, he's a left-handed pitcher / outfielder from Aledo, Texas. I think kind of coming into the year, a lot of people saw him as a pitcher because unbelievable capacity for spin. I mean, the guy can spin a slider at 3,300 RPMs, which is unheard of. Fastball from a low slot up to 96. So I think a lot of people saw him as a pitcher coming into the year, and then it turns out in the spring, a lot of people like the bat, and then he comes out at the combine and he's blasting balls 111 miles an hour. Wow. So there was some talk about him potentially being drafted as a 2-way player. I think some people saw him more as a bat, and then personally, I mean, you can't go wrong with the arm talent there. But I mean, he just pulled his name last night, so he's going to LSU now.
And we'll find out at LSU, right? He'll do both.
But I mean, I would assume they let him do both. I mean, that's probably a major reason for why he's.
Your NIL stuff.
Yeah, no, actually,
So wait, bats lefty, throws lefty.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, right? Like they said Ohtani has success because he's righty lefty, right? Because if you're swinging left side and you're throwing left side, that's a problem. Or I think potential for wear and tear on one end, balance issues. I don't know.
Yeah, just I have them in the videos up on the screen there. This is like everything you want right there, left-handed. Like I'm seeing the pitching first before seeing like more video of the hitting, but like I can already see like don't not let this guy pitch, right? Like so I think to the point or to the question, like there's much more openness for there to be a track, a developmental track. Jack Caglione did this through like the University of Florida. Paul Skeens was a position player. Like there's more, it's much more regular of a developmental path, but it's also like a beast of a workload issue. Right. So like I don't think you're gonna see this like run of like everybody's a 2-way guy now, because the threshold to be able to do it, most guys can barely do it as like a reliever. That's why like Ohtani doing it as like an elite starter is just ridiculous, And like even Jack Caglione. If you watch them pitch, you're like, this is a definite pitching prospect, but it's such a beast of a developmental journey that you I understand why you would make the choice to do one or the other. With how hard hitting is, again, Ohtani, has kind of broken the model.
And he had leverage too because he could have stayed in Japan. So like you had to let him do both to get him. So like there was no organizational control.
You got a 13-13 roster, and the guy does both.
Yeah, it's definitely an advantage, but I gotta say, like you have to have such organizational alignment in your player development to get a guy through the gauntlet of doing that. Think about, like, you need your bat and your pitching to develop parallel to each other without letting one side of it be a level ahead of the other, because you can't play at two levels.
Right.
So like if you want to be in high A, that means your bat has to be at a high A level.
Jacob Rudner, Carlos Colosso.
Your bat has to be at a high level, and your pitching capabilities have to be there too. But if your arm is all of a sudden like big league ready, but your bat's not, you're going to hold yourself from the big leagues? Or you're just going to be like, no, I'm a pitcher now.
Do you foresee a run in the future of more two-way players? Like now, I mean, so he, right? Like he's his young. You have a sibling or a younger brother.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at my kid. My kid's gonna grow up watching.
Well, Hunter Green was two-way, and he came up in the modern era, right? He was a two-way guy. Hunter Green.
Yeah.
And he ended up. It just didn't last, like it's so that there's been few after Ohtani where you thought it might follow in the footsteps, and
Brendan McKay with the Rays.
Yeah.
Outside of him, is there anyone else in the draft that you're looking
so
at that's two-way?
I think you mentioned it, Jared Grinlinger, who may, I mean, it's probably a long shot, but I mean, someone could probably cut a deal for him inside the top 10 picks. One of the youngest players in this class, 17 years old, and
hold a second, because I think the audio. Were we having audio issues? We fixed it, right? All right. I didn't want to get that cut off.
17 years old and 2 months on draft day. He reclassified really late, so it was after the summer circuit. So
he was like a Malachi Tony deal for the football side that I thought when I saw the age, 17.2.
Yeah, so he was one of the top players in the 2027 class, and he reclassified. I think a lot of people saw him as a pitcher at first, kind of similar to Naraki, up to 96, probably going to throw upper 90s in the future, can really shape a breaking ball, above average changeup, throws a lot of strikes.
Delivery. It looked kind of weird to me watching him.
I mean, I guess it's a little efforty if you watch it, but he's an athletic kid, so I don't think you nitpick at it too much, especially considering his age. But I think most people like him as a bat now. Personally, that's where I like him. Like the most elite hand-eye coordination you're gonna find. Like I think he posted like a 4% whiff rate or something crazy on the summer circuit. So I guess his problem in the future will be he hits a lot of ground balls. So kind of learning how to use the pull side, leverage the baseball. But I mean, he's got room to fill. I think people think he'll have no problem getting to 20 plus homers. I've seen like Kyle Tucker comps on the swing, which I think if you watch it, it makes a lot of sense. Probably going to end up in a corner. He's a solid average runner, but I mean, there's just like so many ways you could take this. I mean, it's probably a little more of a projection pick than some of these other guys who you'll see at the top, but it would not surprise me if a team took him, under slot inside the top 10 picks. So that's when I would watch for.
First of all, your website is ridiculous. Prospect Porch. I mean, like just the way you had the age and the height, weight, the handedness, the commit, like the layout is. I have this an MLB pipeline open to get the scouting reports. Yep. Your layout's better, hands down.
Yeah, it's really something.
This is awesome. But I want to transition. So you talk about Naraki and the NIL. I want to transition to this because we had to get to this before the picks start flying off the board. The proposal by the owners to change the draft. I think it is absolutely awesome. I think it is a complete no-brainer. It is beyond now look, how the pie gets split up. That's going to be a fight, obviously. How the money gets split up. That's a different issue. To me, you look at the way MLB is doing, and we're doing a draft show. Obviously, we're passionate about this, but let's be real. The NFL draft is like Woodstock. It is its own event. The NBA draft is a big event. These guys go into the league with reputations. I don't think it's right that baseball, their draft is not the same event as the other sports. Their college is not the same as the other sports in terms of revenue generation. How you split the pie, that's a different issue, labor. I'm not getting into that part of it. But can you imagine if all of these guys, we looked at them like star power with a name? I mean, your website would be, this would be the best that ever happened to your website. So like, I'm from a fan perspective, I think the fact that these guys are not going, like, why do we have minor league A, high A, that empty crowds when you can have SEC parks that are full with crowds watching for the same development? I've heard people say, well, their development is better. Like the high school guys are doing better in the pros. it's kind of unfair considering that like Connor Griffin, you tell me if Connor Griffin went to LSU, the guy wouldn't be the biggest monster in the history, like it would have slowed him down. Like, I don't think development is why Connor Griffin is a stud. I think he might've been, that's why he went pros, because he was a stud. So I don't know. That's my take, but I know there's gonna be different takes. Red's gonna have a take. Age's gonna have a take.
That is you gave this take to me the other day, so I'm not hearing it for the first time. And it really made me pause and think, because first of all, whatever the league did throw out, just like whatever the union would throw out, like this is a negotiation and you're going to throw out something knowing you're going to come short of that. So like it gets the headlines of like 12 rounds and like no more high school players. And there's, it makes you kind of like react, right? And then the industry did react as a whole. But I hadn't heard anybody be like excited about it and make that argument the way you are because I think that is a relevant argument, because it's not tone deaf to how good college baseball has gotten.
And they get paid. I should mention that at the top.
Right. The NIL, of course,
landscape has changed. That's a change.
Fundamentally different landscape, but also like credit where credit is due on certain programs being like quick pipelines into the major leagues, where to your point about there being a lot of levels at the minor league level, that gets dragged over to me from a more antiquated system. So we're down from, we used to be DSL, complex level. So like GCL, ACL, Arizona Complex League or Florida Complex League. Then we would go into short season rookie
ball, right?
Which was like A ball, but not really. It was like short season rookie. Some teams had two. I think the Yankees at one point had two short season teams.
Right.
So there was short season. Then there was A ball. Then there was, then there was low A. Then there was A ball. Then there was high A. Then there's double A, triple A, and into the big leagues. And that's when I was with the Red Sox, we had short season team. We had low A. It was like, what was it, man? It was Greenville, Salem. No, it was Greenville and Salem were like the low A and high A. And short season was low. So you had 3 A ball affiliates, and then you start double A. And I think we've moved to a point where like those were better at the scouting and better at the development than needing so many players to end up with you need 26 guys. You know, 40-man roster.
Right.
We had 350 guys in each organization times 30, plus the Japanese teams, plus everybody else. So like there is just like you're following what's happening. Like we don't need this many levels anymore. The problem with that, and the reason I don't like jump on that bandwagon with you, is because of like the economics of it, or the ramifications of having less professional baseball spots. Now you're saying college baseball provides more.
It's professional,
but that's leaving out the entire Latin American player population.
Right. But that's a separate kind of conversation.
It is, but it isn't, because you need a roster spot to be in an organization. And if you have fewer rosters, you have fewer spots.
But they wouldn't be competing with American players that are in college.
They would not be competing with American players that are in college, but that onslaught, that flow of players is always coming in. So whether it be like drafted players, or we'll see an explosion in minor league free agency if this happens, for example. Huge pool of players now, minor league free agents on the other side of it, the older side. Right. So you have that flooding the top level of the major leagues, or the minor leagues. AAA, AA will be older immediately. Yeah. It'll be like
higher level too.
Higher level and older immediately, but here's where the crunch happens, the middle. The crunch in the middle, because the Latin American player gets signed through a different way, so they go through the Dominican Summer League first. Yeah. But if you start lowering the amount of teams, you start lowering the total pool of players, and then you really change Latin American baseball economically. Mm-hmm. You really like put a squeeze on that. And because they sign at 16 and have to go through the Dominican Summer League, right? Each team, there's some teams that have 2 Dominican Summer League teams. That was one of the things that I learned from the Red Sox. And one of the things Manny and I and David and everybody there were like, we're really, and thanks to Gary Dembo that really pushed it, a 2 DSL team structure, which gives you 70 roster spots instead of only 35. So you have 2 teams playing in the Dominican Summer League. That's 70 more created opportunities for guys.
Let me ask you this.
Some teams only have 1, but if MLB all of a sudden decided to start narrowing teams and now said you can only have 1 DSL team now, because most teams only have 1 ACL. So the next level up, the complex league here in the States, most teams only have 1. So if you start compressing those roster spots, you really, really impact the Latin American player more than I think. That's the part that doesn't get mentioned in this draft argument.
Well, I want to ask you, if you're now you're not spending on these minor league teams, so you're saving money. Could that money be
operationally?
Could that money be redirected towards Latin America since you're outsourcing some of the American amateur development to college?
In theory, I'm
just saying,
because part of the change is also elevating the eligible signing age in Latin America too, to kind of make it to 18 instead of 16, which it is now. Which I am actually. It's going to be an unpopular take, but I am not in favor of younger. I'm not in favor of scouting and signing younger players.
Right.
Nick Martinez, we just had that discussion. If you evaluate him at 16, you don't even put him in.
No.
You don't put him
on your list.
He's not on your but he's the all-star years later. So everybody's arcs are different. And so expecting that a Latin American player should be ready to go 12, 13, 14, 16.
Right.
Is just a farce.
So where the financial stakes are higher, right, is in college baseball. Do you foresee international complexes being opened up by universities?
No, because of the educational gap, and it's not educational. It's like educational in the direction of English. It's a really important distinction. Like not knowing English immediately probably makes you ineligible for most college baseball.
Right.
Regardless of intellectual capability.
Right.
Like you not knowing the language is going to put you in a tough spot to be eligible to be accepted by a Division I program, especially by a private school that has higher thresholds, whatever. It's just not going to be easy to get you in. And if you get in, then there's the educational gap. That depends country to country. But if you're in the Dominican, you stop going to school at 10 years old to be a full-time baseball player, do your 11, 12, 13.
Right, you're way behind the curriculum.
You think you're going to slide into a college program?
Right. Hold on. We have 5 minutes to the pick stuff. I could talk about this for an hour because I'm so passionate about this. And I want to get both your takes on this because you guys come at it from fan perspectives also. So we'll start with Red because you're on the dynasty perspective. Like you love seeing these guys from a dynasty perspective. Would this make you more interested in college baseball in the draft if you're like, man, like I'm watching Connor Griffin at LSU, like I saw him on ESPN.
Right.
I'm drafted. Like, would that, as a fan, would that get you more juice?
It also makes it easier for the fans' engagement because it's a consolidation of talent. You know, from the front office or from working in there, it does put a burden on them because the more, in business, the more you can proliferate the talent, the service, the product, the better you can position your business to succeed. And that's essentially these players are part of the business. And so having more levels from that perspective, I can see why there's like pushback. But from my perspective as a fan, I'm like, okay, now instead of having to pay attention to high A, single A, rookie ball, this, that, I'm looking at just key consolidated, right? Yeah. Like I'm going to my local university, seeing the talent there that's getting paid to play, right?
Yep.
And then I'm following them through maybe straight to AA in many cases. And it just makes it easier from a fan's perspective to follow. And I also think that the high school player getting drafted at a high school, it was, we saw a lot of players that didn't really pan out because they went straight from high school into development. I think college does allow them. The people developing talent in the big leagues are obviously like the best in the business.
Which, by the way, a lot of them are going to college. By the way, so they pay more.
But playing
it's a big component in this whole thing.
But playing under the lights of a college, right, with that pressure,
fans,
I think that pressure is what sometimes isn't as easy to develop. I mean, when you were seeing players come up, right, there's a certain amount of pressure when they finally get to the big leagues that it's
more than just pressure, man. It's really a lot more than just pressure. It's like learning how to win a baseball game, or we're learning how to win baseball situations. It's probably, Manny, I'm gonna bring you on here in a little bit here.
I'm asking you the same question.
Yeah, because I want to get into the area scout prep. Like if you were the area scout with a potential first round pick, like if you were the area scout while Jacob Lombard. Anyway, but the point really is more, damn it, I lost track. So
well, look,
hold on. I don't want to lose it.
So I'm gonna bring it back here. I'm talking to Javi Salas, one of my buddies who played at UM. He said that when he got to AA, it's like you're playing a game for one player, and he was not the player they were playing the game for, and that was a weird dynamic for him. It's like you're there for two players. You're not there for yourself. Whereas a college baseball game, you are playing to win the game. You are playing to succeed.
Yes.
If you screw up, you are screwing up. It's different when you're in a Biloxi and everybody's there for Connor Griffin and you're just there to serve them up.
Yeah. So I'm glad. Thank you. You refreshed my memory because what I was going to get at was that on the Latin American side of things, right? You're very, very difficult to see players in game situations. Because when you put them in like a scrimmage game with nothing at stake, you're going to get a version of baseball that is like, all right, I'm playing for the showcase here. So you're going to try to hit one in the seats, or you're going to throw, as a pitcher, you're going to throw as hard as you can, you know, and you're going to do things that, like, if you were playing for a college coach that would like rip your ass if you did certain things wrong, that's a whole different way to play a game. And the Latin American player, and I'll be an advocate for the Latin American player always, but like their signing system doesn't really have like structured leagues or high schools or things where they're learning the importance of like winning baseball situations, which win baseball games.
Which, by the way, high school American player, we've heard this complaint. We had Laz on. He was complaining about the high school American player playing for showcase. So what you're saying is not just limited to
that's the travel ball thing too. Like the high school player does do showcase ball, but then they go and do like mercenary ball, right? Where they're basically, you go onto these travel teams and like, yeah, you want to win a tournament, but there isn't like this, nothing's really at stake. And you know that the player, the scouts are watching the game. So you know you're playing more for yourself than really for like, you know, team cohesion, which is, you know, every old head in baseball, they don't play this the same way anymore. But like, yeah, their system is not well built anymore, you know, but when it goes to college, then it gets hyper pressurized. So you feel this like this big gap from like even at big time high school programs, there's still a big gap when how LSU, Georgia, all these teams are going to treat winning. I want to say this again, baseball situations. You stack a lot of good situations up in a game, you're probably on the winning side of that game. You know, then and you stack situations, you stack wins. I don't want to, but the college game is, they deserve a lot of credit for the reason that we're thinking about changing the system, because they can absorb a lot of like, there's a lot of guys that should be playing college baseball that are playing professional baseball professional baseball right now, and college baseball benefits the most from these rules. But I want to switch to Manny here for a second because Manny Padron was a cross-checker right now, and Manny and I's journey, we spent 6 years with the Red Sox together, 5 years with the Marlins. But before we pulled Manny over to the Marlins, Manny was working as an area scout in the South Florida area. And I really want to get into, I feel like the area scout is like the lost guy in this entire equation of this draft, but the most important guy, especially the way teams used to do it, where we used to really rely on the input of that area scout. So like, what is an area scout, right? Like an area scout, a team has scouting departments. Those are usually divided into like pro scouting, amateur scouting, international scouting, and international can get segmented to international pro, Japan and all that, Korea, and international amateur, which is the space that you're in now, which is the space you and I shared with the Red Sox and the Marlins, the international amateur space. But the domestic space, the draft coverage, splits the country and splits the Puerto Rico and Canada into regions. It's into like more regional, localized coverage. South Florida is a common region, and that South Florida will usually have one area scout, sometimes even two. Certain hot pockets, Southern California, Texas, I don't know where else. Other places even have two area scouts because it's so dense. But Manny was the area scout in South Florida, and I really appreciate that role of the area scout. That is the ultimate, like, you're in your car all the time. You're away from home most of the time. And you are literally looking under rocks of different high school programs and college programs to like put guys on your board, right? So like you were an area scout in what year? And then you did the video coordination before, right?
So I started in 2019, and I did 3 drafts roughly. First of all, as a video coordinator, and then as an area scout for South Florida.
How many draft rooms were you in a draft room with the Red Sox too, right?
I was in one.
You were an intern in the draft room, because that was my first draft room.
Yes. Correct.
My first draft room was my internship with the Red Sox, where you're just like getting coffee, getting snacks, like helping like put the magnets up, things like that. And I know you did those things too.
You see the whole process from beginning to end, like everything that goes into it. And it has evolved a lot, you know, like back what it was in 2013 to what it is now, the way the draft rooms build, like the way the whole process build as far as like meetings and how you plan the whole year out.
Yeah.
And it all starts, honestly, Adrian, with the area scout, right? Like that's the first door that the player opens into an organization, you know, and it's so important, and sometimes it gets overlooked just because, you know, nowadays, big time players are looking at all 30 teams. So you got to somehow, as an area scout, find a way to be the first one in, find a way to leverage those relationships, get to know the coaches. And the more you can leverage those relationships and the better you handle them, it's going to give you an edge when it comes to, getting player meetings, getting access to the players, getting access to, their high school coach and their summer ball coach.
You need to be the primary source of knowledge on any given player in your area. And in South Florida, for example, it's a lot. And I'm not cutting you off because I want to pick that back up. But I wanted to ask, first of all, what's your prediction?
Rock Chalowski.
Rock Chalowski?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We'll see on that. White Sox take Rock Chalowski. But if you're the area scout with the first pick in the draft, what was the highest you were at stake? What was the highest you guys picked when you were?
7, I think.
7. So that's 7 is a lot.
I think I was with the Blue Jays back then, and it was Manoah. Alec Manoah. I think he went 7.
He would have been, yeah.
So, I mean, you got a lot of people.
Exactly.
A lot of conversations heating up. But usually, like when you pick in the top 10, there's a smaller pool of players where you're choosing from, right?
For sure. And with more layers of people coming in to see him.
Correct.
Yeah. So like at that level, especially at this level, the number one pick, it's not just the area scout's opinion, right? Like you're going to send, imagine the threshold or structure being like area scout, regional cross checker.
Yeah.
Who supervises the area scout and a few other area scouts. Then you go to like national cross checker, which is kind of like an evaluation tier above. And then usually everybody who's an evaluator in your organization is going to layer in and pepper in looks at the top guys. I think if you're doing it well, that's how you're doing it. That's how the Red Sox did it. Like when I did amateur coverage, I never once was like an amateur scout, right? But I saw Bobby Witt, Andrew Vaughn, Spencer Torkelson, and I was in more of like a pro scouting director role. But like in these important picks, you pull all your best people. So the area scout has to field everybody. Like that, you pick them up at the airport, you take them to lunch, you take them to dinner, and like it's this constant layering of, are you doing your job well? With like your GM, your assistant GM, like for most picks in the first round, the GM goes to see him at least once. And for an area scout who doesn't deal with the GM at all, isn't in the office, all of a sudden you have the GM in your car and you're going to take him to see a guy who's like, it's like you get accountable really fast.
Yeah, and you're the one like filtering all those trips, all those pickups, like all those BP times. So you got to be on your A game because a lot of people with a high demand schedule are like relying on you to get it right.
Yeah.
It's your audition for them.
No,
it's
and
like you don't get FaceTime with them that often to audition. Like if you want to move up in the organization, right? That's like your opportunity to like kind of show off a little bit, right? For the decision makers.
And you'll have more opportunities later because like the first round is covered by a lot more people and the analytic process is a lot more kind of like braided in. So it's like kind of harder to like miss guys toward the top, although that varies, but it's you get a chance to make an impact a little later though.
Well, let's talk to our area scout here, right?
Yeah.
So Nico, we got Grady Emerson, Rock Chalowski. Like this one's interesting to me. Obviously, two shortstops. Watching Grady Emerson, just highlights. I've not done the deep dive. He feels a little different than some of these shortstops that we've seen. We talked about Connor Griffin, Bobby Witt, some of these high school shortstops were like an amateur, meaning like an amateur scout, a fan could see him and be like, man, this dude looks like he could, like just a freak of nature. This guy doesn't necessarily look like a freak of nature. How do you stack up Emerson with Chalowski?
Yeah, I would say Emerson's definitely a different flavor than a guy like Jacob Lombard, obviously. I think most people when talking about him are going to talk about the hit tool. I mean, it might be the best in the entire class, high school or college. It's plus contact skills, feel for the barrel. And then, probably an above average shortstop at the next level. He's worked really hard on kind of improving that throughout his amateur days. And one crazy thing about Grady Emerson, he's been the number one player in this class since he was 12 years old. Wow. So he's kind of held down the top spot. He's, continuously gotten better. He hasn't really faltered, if you want to say that. But, it's not the flashy, tool set of a Connor Griffin, Jacob Lombard, but, it's a solid floor. I think, most people think he'll have no trouble getting to 20 plus homers at the next level. It's above average raw power. again, he's not going to be like the pure slugging type, but I think you can feel a little more confident in him over, most prep bats just in terms of the hit tool, just because he's performed everywhere he's gone for years.
Let me ask you this. This is for Manny or Adrian, whoever wants to take this. And Nico, I'm sure you have thoughts this as well, because it seems to me as I dive into these guys, again, I'm coming from the outside, just really the college guys I've seen, but the high school guys I'm learning about through getting ready for this show and this draft. It feels like Kevin McGonigal being so great is helping a guy like Grady Emerson, where you say high school player, hit tool is kind of carrying the profile. What was McGonigal, second round pick? Something like that. So they might be like, hey, we don't want to lose on the next McGonigal. So therefore, Grady Emerson, who's been a top guy, I get it, but like it maybe helps him more when you're stacking him up, because you're saying McGonigal, what does he do? Great hit. He's not, because McGonigal's not Bobby Witt, he's not Connor Griffin, but the hit is the thing. Yeah. Does that happen in draft rooms where you say, man, this guy was a second round pick and he is one of the best players in the majors as a rookie. We're not going to miss on this next draft. Does that actually happen?
I think that nowadays, I think the main difference is that before, like, you would aim at bigger and sexier tools, where now it's like a little bit of the rise of contact skills and defense, right? Like, if you have elite contact skills and you can play elite defense of a premium position, that's going to carry a lot of value nowadays, despite not having the sexier big tools of raw power and that type of upside. But I think if you carry that type of floor, it's gonna mean a lot in today's draft room.
And that will work against like a Jacob Lombard, right? Where the question is the hit tools and the hit tool and the physical tools are like elite, like, right? Like someone like him, right? That's going to be the discussion with him.
Correct. Because nowadays, swing and miss, that's a huge concern for some teams, right? So again, like at the end of the day, you're talking about a high school player where there's like natural risk to it. So you're going to see some teams maybe like walk away a little bit from those type of risk or swing and miss concerns. Some teams are going to shy away from that. And some others are going to value like the defense and the contact skills.
I won't even ask Adrian because I already know where he's at.
No, I don't think
you, Manny, where are you on this divide? We know where Adrian's at. Adrian saw Jacob Lombard do a back handspring and he was going crazy. But where are you at on this kind of divide?
I like upside, man. I like upside. I like
there
guys that are different. Guys that are different that can do unique things. So I think that I've seen also a trend of draft rooms and teams being like overly conservative, and I think there's room for everything, right? But I like aiming for upside. The James Wood of the world, and Jacob Lombard can be one of those as well.
We'll see what happens here with the first pick. Here we go.
This is the beauty of this that nobody knows, though. Like nobody knows.
There it is. It's Rock
Chalowski.
Yeah. All right, so Nico, I'm asking you had Rock over Grady, as I understand your board right here, right? Because this is your board on Prospect Porch. The listing is your ranking, right? This is not how you're projecting him. So why did you have Rock over Emerson here?
I mean, I've actually watched Rock in person. I've seen a couple of these guys, but I think you're talking about probably the highest floor in this class from a position player standpoint. I mean, I think Rock has a chance to win a couple Gold Gloves during the peaks of his career. I mean, I've seen 70s thrown on the glove. I mean, I got to watch him in person, UCLA versus USC, and it was one of the, most polished, smooth infield, outfield I've ever seen. I mean, definitely better than Jacob Lombard. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I mean, polished player across the board. It's a track record of hitting going back to his high school career. 20 plus homers in his last 2 years at UCLA. It's feel for getting the baseball to his pull side. It's, probably 20, 25 homers at the next level. But yeah, the one weird thing about Rock Chalowski is if you look at kind of his batted ball profile, it's like a lot of his hardest hit balls are either, on the ground or fly balls. Like he does not hit a lot of line drives. I mean, I don't know if you get too overly concerned about that, but I mean, just from my standpoint, it's hard to really find holes in his game. And I've seen people putting, Grady and Von Lackey over him kind of as we've led up to this draft. I think that's a result of a bit of prospect fatigue, but like in my eyes, he's done nothing but prove that he deserves to be the number one overall pick in this class. And I think the White Sox made the right choice here.
His dad was an area scout too. While we're talking about area scouts, wasn't he his dad a scout?
I didn't hear that.
His dad, I think, is in the. I know he's in the personnel side. I'm not sure exactly his role. So, Manny, as you look at this, you like the pick?
Yeah, man. Like this is everything that you look for early in the draft. When you're picking up high, proven guy, premium position, hit tool, a lot of things that you look for, and coming from a premium program as well. So, I mean, this is, I don't want to say a layup, but it's a pretty good pick right now.
So, Adrian, I got to come to you with this because this is close to my heart. I'm much more familiar with the football evaluation side. When I see Rock playing quarterback, my heart flutters. I think, though, on the baseball side, as a Marlins fan, Manny, you're familiar. Obviously, Jacob Marcy, different player than Rock as far as position, all that. But Jacob Marcy was a multi-sport, went, Michigan, right? So he's playing all the different sports. He's built like a football player. He kind of outperformed where people thought he was going to be. We've seen, obviously, the Aaron Judges, the Stantons of the world, guys who played multiple sports. Lombard, I know, was a soccer player. Like, Adrian, how much do you put into the multi-sport with some of these guys?
I've been so wrong on both sides of this that I don't know where I come out, but I think overall you want things that like look right, and athletes do things that look right. I think that's probably as simple as I could get it. Like you're always going to be betting on the athletes, but if you overcorrect on that, and if you oversaturate or overturn up the volume on that, I've seen the Monte Harrisons of the world go wrong with all the athleticism in the world. So like there's a threshold. I think here with Cholowski, like the bottom line is like he was the best player for the best team in the country for they disappointed in the postseason, let's say, but they were the consensus number 1, number 2 team in the country almost all the way through the entire season. And he hit, 21 pumps this year, 23 the year before. Good. I feel like don't overthink this one too much, but you have to also be willing to deal with I don't know, Emerson having more upside or somebody else having more ceiling. But there's high floor and there's more ceiling here. So to me, he's well positioned to be at the top of this draft. I think he also has a chance with where Chicago, with the White Sox are at right now, to like kind of insert pretty quickly into high A, double A, and see if you have a good impact there right away, you can move pretty quickly because it's a little bit of an older player. You're coming out of a good program. Your developmental floor should be pretty damn high. So context matters, right? Like you asked me the kinds of things that matter here, like where you are as an organization. You can make the argument that it shouldn't matter. You just take the best player.
Well, let me follow
this
up.
pick in the draft.
Let me follow up on that before we get to this next pick.
But it influences.
There's a very key, talk about context. There's a key piece of context here. The White Sox have a young shortstop who's really, really good.
Yeah.
They have a third baseman who just made the All-Star team.
Yep.
Does that factor in at all? Or are you kind of like, man, these are shortstops, like just take the best player?
You got to take as many as you can.
Yeah.
You pile them up. I mean, worst case scenario, you have a trading chip that you can use. So I don't think, like Adrian said, like you overthink it. You go after the best player on the board, the guy that you like the most, the one that poses the right balance of upside and floor as well. So, I mean, you can't have too many of them, to be honest.
It's crazy. It's number 1 overall pick. How many of these guys bust? They just did a story on it. It blew my mind. But here we go. Get ready for the number 2 pick.
The Rays right now having the number 2 pick is just like a crazy. It's just like a crazy
scary, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. But like, I don't know. Good for them.
Grady Emerson.
You don't always have to be bad to get to be good. Yeah.
There you
Grady
go.
Emerson.
Chalk. Grady Emerson.
Grady
Everybody said
Emerson
it was they said it was a 1, 2, 3 pick 1 and 2 how you want, and then 3 being the catcher. We'll see with Lackey, but Grady Emerson here, kind of chalk. Nico, what are you seeing with this fit and this pick?
Yeah, again, one of the best. They're saying it there. One of the best pure hitters in this class, high school or college. I think there's more upside than people probably give him, credit for.
It looks right too.
Yeah, game power hasn't shown up much, but again, probably going to grow into more power as he physically matures. I mean, I think MLB.com had Emerson over Cholowski, which, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that Emerson is going to be a better player than Rock Cholowski in 3 years. But yeah, I mean, solid blend of, floor and ceiling here. Can't really go wrong with a pick like this, in my opinion.
I love how his comp is Cole Emerson, not related.
Yeah, it's a good comp. Good comp.
So we haven't touched the bonus pool side of things at all. So I wanted to at least like kind of talk through, like there's a lot of economics happening here too. You're not just doing pick best player. At this point, you are, right? You're still going to take the best player because your floor is so high, right? Of like the assigned slot value. But like the White Sox are dealing with a $20 million total draft pool. The Rays, a $19 million, Giants, 17 next, and then it goes sequentially in order, decreasing to the Dodgers only have a $3.9 million total draft pool, just to give an example. And the first round, the slot value for the first pick is $11.35 million. So Rock Chalowski, is he just going to get slot? Maybe not. And this is where the agents come into play. It's the other, the dark horse in all of this that's right in the thick of it is who are these players represented by? Right?
Rock and Grady are actually represented by the same agency.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep I'm not gonna mention any agency names across the board.
That's public information.
That's interesting.
So,
but that one agency just went 1-2 in the draft, so good for them.
Yeah.
But the point is, you don't just take a guy and he's yours now. You take a guy and you draft his rights, but now you enter into a negotiation. And if you're thinking of underslotting your first pick with a guy who's probably a consensus top of it, then you're going to run into a hard time with signability, and you have to decide if you're going to take that player or not. But last year, for example, Eli Willits, I believe, took a haircut to be the number one
it was
pick.
A surprise.
So you can do draft math too, where okay, if I see these guys flat together and I like the guy and I like this guy a lot too, then maybe I'll just shave off of this one. He's not expecting to go 1 or 2 anyway, so I'll pick the guy expected to go number 7. So I think if somebody would have taken Jacob Lombard here with one of these 2 picks, they probably would have been expecting some sort of not top or full slot. So you can do other things. The money will end up mattering later, or your 3rd round pick, your guy that you're trying to convince. You pick a guy at a high school and you're going to need to pay him for him to not go to LSU.
Right.
So excuse me.
Bremner was like that too, right? The Bremner, the pitcher from Santa Barbara. Wasn't Weatherholt like that the other way too, where he was a high pick and then he went later because the other way around?
I don't remember the details.
I remember Weatherholt was kind of the other way around, where he was supposed to be number 1. They didn't want to pay him. And he kind of went the other way.
I'm saying when you see guys that get selected and it's a surprise that they jumped, Eli Willits was kind of a surprise last year. I wouldn't be surprised if that was an underslot deal. I have to look that up. Do you remember if it was?
Nico, let me ask you.
Which one?
Eli Willits. It was definitely
underslot. Yeah.
Eli Willits versus Emerson. How do you compare him?
Well, I guess Willits has, the age on his side. He was under 18 years old on draft day, the youngest number 1 overall pick ever. Switch hitter, which I guess you can kind of lean towards him, but I think if Emerson was in last year's draft, I think he would be the consensus number 1 overall pick. I think that's just my opinion. I think in a draft without Rock Chalowski, I think Emerson would be the clear-cut top guy. I think it's a better pure hit tool than Eli Willits was. He's a bit more physical kid, probably a tick better of an athlete. They're better arm strength. I mean, I would take him over Eli Willits. I think most people would agree with me.
Manny, I want to ask you, as we're talking about age, and one of the great things about Prospect Porch, you have the age listed to the decimal. I love that. I know it's big in NBA analytics as well, just looking at age. Football starting to get there as well. Do you look at that where a guy like Jacob Lombard, who's a high school shortstop, just like some of these guys, he's a year older. Well, Emerson's a little older, but a guy like the two-way guy we're talking about, he's 17. He's almost 2 years younger than a Lombard. Do you look at that kind of stuff?
Yes, at some point you do. I think that it kind of depends on where in the draft you're looking at and where you're looking to pick him and what the financial part of it is as well. But I think the short answer is yes, the better, because the more time you have to develop him and the more upside in theory there is. But sometimes you just don't overthink it, right? If you get a really good guy out of high school that's 18 or 19 and you have high conviction of those tools, you don't tend to overthink it. But in theory, yes, the younger the better for me.
Got it.
Teams can overcook. Yeah, Von Lackey goes off the board here at number 3 to the Twins. But to that point, we've gone through waves where teams get really, or as an industry, you get really obsessed with a player because he's younger than the average. But then you overcorrect there. But then Bobby Witt was old as a high school player, but who cares? I've just seen this cut on either side. It can go either way, but it is, yes, youth is better. That said, connected to the first thing we talked about, sometimes having been developed at another program for a little while, do I want to just go for youth's sake, or is the fact that a guy's 21 years old, but he's been playing 3 years of really high level baseball, why would I just Why would I make this about age and youth, knowing that everybody's developmental arc is different and everybody's like, you can be 18 and be very physically immature relative to what your ceiling is.
Right.
You know, like we're going to talk about Justin LeBron here in a little while. Like Justin LeBron was not a consideration for a high pick out of high school. He's going to be in the mix here for like, you know, top 15.
Nor was Lackey, by the way.
LeBron, we'll see.
Von Lackey, I don't think was considered a high pick out of high school at all. So
he wasn't ranked.
Nico, so talk to us about Von Lackey a little bit.
Yeah, Von Lackey's a bit of an outlier in that, you know, he's probably one of the better athletes you'll see, you know, that plays the catcher position. Fun fact about him, he actually played all 9 positions in one game for Georgia Tech in a midweek matchup, which I think just speaks to, you know, his athleticism. Stole 20+ bags this year. It's plus run times. He's probably going to, you know, slow as he matures. But yeah, I mean, Von Lackey was kind of viewed as a, you know, late, middle of the first round type of prospect heading into the year because, you know, he was kind of a contact first bat, played really good defense. But everything like just kind of took a step forward this year, which, you know, is why he's hearing his name called number 3 overall here. Exceptional defender behind the plate, similar to Rock, you know, Gold Glove upside, sub 1.9 pop times, like 70 grade throwing arm. And then you get to the bat. I mean, the guy hit 400 with 20 home runs at Georgia Tech, which says a lot. I know Georgia Tech is a favorable offensive environment, but you know, everything under the hood just kind of speaks to, you know, how good of a hitter Von Lackey is. I know there were people who had him as their number 1 overall prospect. I mean, you could have totally convinced me if you're going to take this guy number 1 overall. Really good player.
Let me ask. I want to ask this question for both for Manny and Adrian who worked in orgs because, you know, fans have their very passionate opinions that there's like they have 1 or 2 opinions with no backing at all, just their fan opinions. One of my fan opinions is catchers are undervalued. They're valued high. I mean, we've seen catchers go number 1. This guy just went number 3. But like, I think WAR and stuff doesn't capture what a good catcher can mean to an organization, especially like some of these dynasties. Like you look at Buster Posey, what he did. Some of these dynasties, Will Smith to me is second most valuable guy on the Dodgers, even with all their great players. You look at the Marlins, Joe Mack, what he did when he came up as Marlins fans, the 1 season of Pudge, Charles Johnson. Like I just feel winning teams, like that catcher makes such a difference. Like, how do you value just like a really, really good, complete, high character catcher?
It's a really tough question, but yeah, at the end of the day, like that's one position where you always want to try to get the most value out of it, right? That's why Von Lackey, I look at him and this is really, really interesting. When you blend athleticism, performance, contact skills, I don't really know much about the makeup, but you know he comes from a good program and a program that has had like catchers, big time catchers before. So he checks a lot of boxes. Like if I'm picking Von Lackey today, I'm really excited because it sounds like he checks a lot of those boxes.
And just on the Marlins side, being part of the organization, I mean, I'm watching it as a fan. You're watching it with so much more knowledge and context. The impact that a Joe Mack makes, is it beyond the box score a little bit?
Yes, of course. And especially, I mean, we know Joe Mack, like defense, it used to be undervalued a lot. I think it's coming back to where it needs to be. So I think that, again, like every time you have access to one of those catchers, like it changes how you go about your team. I think it sets the tone every day that you're playing. Yep. So there's a lot of value that goes sometimes overlooked in catchers for sure.
All right, so I think we got the Giants here getting ready to pick. But real quick, Adrian, on Joe Mack, you were there.
Yeah, I crushed Joe Mack actually. So I'm no, not crushed. I was just context always matters, right? Like I think that year we went Khalil Mack and Joe Mack back-to-back picks.
Khalil Watson, yep.
Or Khalil Watson, yeah, Khalil Watson, and I think Cody Morissette somewhere like blended in there. But
oh wow.
Oh, so here's the first surprise, Jackson Flora.
Not really surprised, but I know the Giants like Jacob a lot, so this was one of his first kind of landing spots.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Jacob Lombard too much yet.
I mean, I don't know. He has a couple landing spots. This was probably his earliest one, but man, Jackson Flora, easily the best arm in this class. This is actually the second year that a UC Santa Barbara pitcher has been taken, as the first arm off the board, if you remember.
What are they doing over there?
Tyler Bremner. Yeah.
Tyler Bremner.
Unbelievable program. But says that they're touches triple digits. It's a cut right fastball. Throws plenty of strikes. It's a long, lean body, really athletic kid. The one thing, I guess, the fastball didn't miss as many bats as like the shape and velocity would suggest. But then you talk about the rest of the arsenal. It's 2 breaking balls, kind of like a tighter cutter shape that he threw more this year, and then a big sweeper. And then coming into this year, kind of the big thing with him was he didn't really have a good secondary pitch. Kind of comes in the offseason and he's tinkering around with a kick change, which is becoming a pretty popular, option for supinators who can't naturally, get on the inside of the baseball. And now that might be his best, secondary pitch. Threw it a ton against both righties and lefties this year. So, I mean, it's a complete pitch mix. It's, strikes. It's an athlete on the mound. There's not a lot more like you would want here.
How do you stack him with Bremner?
I think he's better than Bremner. I don't think the changeup is as good as Bremner's. I mean, that was probably a 70 grade pitch. I think the breaking balls are better. I think most people would agree with me. Probably not as polished as Bremner, but probably a higher ceiling, I would say. Yeah.
Manny, when you see a guy that should be missing bats and doesn't miss as many as the profile would suggest, like how do you take that information when everything else looks so good?
I think that, you're still throwing hard, and that matters. And you still perform at a high level, and that matters. So I think that sometimes if you trust like your pitch and development program, you're one tweak away from, having monster stuff. So I think you put a lot of stock into your own player development, and you can probably like tinker with fastball movement and make it a little bit better. But it's already looking athletic, big, physical with velo. So that matters.
Adrian, what do you think there?
Strikes, man. Is he throwing strikes? Because if you're missing bats but you're throwing strikes, or if you're not missing bats but you're commanding it well, and I know you have good characteristics to the fastball, and there's like sometimes like most college coaches call pitches. Some are good at it, some less so. So like you never know if a guy's pitch use. We just talked about Nick Martinez. Got to the big leagues with one totally different repertoire than the one that ultimately got him success when he got success, but then he had to reinvent again. So like the strikes and the first pitch strikes, that's primary to me in this entire equation. So if you feel that he's a strike thrower and can command it, then you could feel better about like, all right, it's not really missing bats right now, but we think that with a couple of movement changes or a kick change or like something that could give him some more separation. And if we like where the velo's at, we like where the arm action's at. I agree. Like just from a scouting standpoint, he'd be like above average for me. It all looks pretty good. Like there's not delivery components, super direct delivery, long, loose, and athletic. I buy pitching by the pound always for me. The bigger physical guys, I think they hold up well and better. But then Max Meyer can also, so I'm going to continue to talk out of both sides of my mouth because I think that's the true experience of scouting. Like anybody who says like, this is how this works now, in a year from now, 2 years from now, something's going to prove you wrong or the industry is going to overcorrect again, to like change what's important. So it's kind of a ultimate game of cat and mouse here, but hard not to feel like you at least have like a pretty high floor college performer with ceiling and upside. Like I'd take Jacob Lombard. I would have taken him 2 or 3.
Well,
maybe even 1.
So you teed it up. You teed up what I'm going to say. Pirates, the trends, the upside these guys have been
I don't know if this is the year.
You don't think so?
This is relevant because they had the 34th pick and they traded it last night. So to me, that signifies, I think they're ready to win now. I think this is going to be a college player. That's at least what people are saying. So, I mean, we could be wrong, but
the Pirates are sitting on back-to-back years of Seth Hernandez and Connor Griffin as their picks.
Yeah,
and
Curiel. That's as high
LSU?
Floor as it gets right there.
Yeah. So you went for the floor. Yeah.
So I had a comp on this one. I seen this guy play because he was at LSU. So I saw him last year during their run, saw him this year. I had a comp. I thought I was the smartest guy in the world. And I Googled it and there were about 400 people with the same comp. So Christian Yelich here, guy that didn't hit double-digit homers until his 4th year. That's all I see with this guy with Yelich. So like, I don't know what you guys see here, but that to me is almost like note for note, like just even like projecting the power, the defense looks similar to me. Yelich might have been a little bigger. I don't know, like taller. This guy's 6'2". I was Yelich about there, right? He's about 6'6" there.
No, I think he's a little taller than that.
A little taller, but California guy. I don't know, Nico. Is that kind of what we're looking at here?
Yeah, I've seen like Michael Brantley is a comp that some people have thrown out that I kind of like.
Player.
Yeah, I mean, as polished as it gets, plus bat to ball skills, a little bit of like a more passive hitter in the box, but he can really hit. I mean, he's done it in the SEC for 2 years. He did it in high school with a wood bat. So I think you can feel pretty confident that he's going to hit at the next level and do it immediately. And he hasn't hit for much power so far, but he kind of got in the weight room this offseason, got bigger, got stronger. At least from what I see, exit velocities took a jump. I guess like from a pure eye test standpoint, like it's not crazy bat speed, but I think you can dream on, him potentially growing into more power. But I mean, I think this is, again, as high floor as it gets. Really good center fielder as well. Like not a dynamic athlete, but like from a defensive, I'm not a big like believer in defensive metrics, I guess. Like I don't think that measures everything, but from a defensive metric standpoint, he was one of the best outfielders in college baseball this year. So I think you're getting a guy who can stick in center field, potentially hit at the top of an order at the big league level.
Manny hit tool once again with this one. What do you see here?
Again, just a really clean, simple swing that works and makes a lot of contact. So proven bad with LSU. So I think the hit tool foundation should be there. Yes, ideally you want to wish on more power, but the foundation's there, and you want to think that you're going to make him a little more physical. I think that by seeing him on video, there's a little more upside there physically. So I think you can still work with him and get some more future power. But at the end, you're thinking like he's going to stay center field and provide solid defense. Lefty bat making contact, that's a pretty good pick right there.
Adrian, what do you see on this one?
I like it a lot. I think the hit tool floor is high. I think you're a national champion at a program that's like cranking out big leaguers.
He's a sophomore, so he was a freshman on that team.
But he got full slate of playing time on that national championship team. This year playing a little more center field than he was in the freshman year. And I agree with what Nico is saying. Like defensive metrics give you like a slice of it. It's like talking about batting average on the offensive side. It gives you a piece of what's going on, but it's not the whole thing. And it strikes me as like, okay, the tools, the pure tools aren't huge, but there seems to be some higher level baseball ability, both on the offensive side and on the defensive side. I agree. I think center field in particular, there's guys that are just better than their speed indicates. And they have much better anticipation skills. Jackie Bradley Jr., which we saw, he's one of my favorites of all time. Jackie Bradley Jr. was an average runner at best, but he was like the elite center fielder of his era, in my opinion. And he just had, I remember one of my roles was to shag balls in the outfield with the outfielders. So I would always stand with Mookie and with Jackie. And Jackie, it was like moving, but like as the BP arm was like still throwing the ball, and he was already kind of, it's kind of crazy. I think their neurons just fire a little different, some guys than other guys.
Like Messi in soccer, right? We see him now.
You just kind of see something, or something supernatural pulls you like a. So I think as a center fielder, you can be an elite center fielder without elite speed, but elite speed helps you cover for maybe average instincts. So you can net out the same result, but it's possible to be an elite center fielder without elite speed, but it's harder.
Interesting trend here, by the way. College, people were not enamored with the college players necessarily this year, but you're seeing 4 out of the 5 college guys. I guess high school wasn't necessary. The draft overall, people aren't crazy about it, but
the floor of college baseball is pretty high right now. Like it's really competitive. This has got to be Lombard.
I hope so. No.
It's not going to be.
Oh,
Zion Rose.
Oh, here
Wow,
we go,
okay.
Adrian. This is.
Wow.
I'm gonna give you the mic here before giving it to Nico. This is a
I do
guy
like
you're
Zion
very
Rose.
familiar with.
I
We
do
saw
like
him
Zion Rose.
blast our beloved Hurricanes, as did Caglione, quite frankly, another draft pick of theirs. So I'm not a big Royals fan right now. But this guy, man, talk about athlete, former catcher,
Yep.
outfielder, bat speed all day. What do you see here, Adrian?
I think that to me, I really like, and you have to really like him to kind of reach and take him a little bit. I'm not saying this is a reach overall because the numbers are good. It's coming out of a big program. But I don't think I don't think at this point last year when you're evaluating him, you're slotting him in to be, what is it, number 6 overall pick. But he went out and he just, I don't know, he set the ACC on fire, you know? I think the hit and the power have to kind of push the profile the whole way through. I think he's going to live in this like tweener profile defensively, right? Like you don't know where he fits as a professional, defensively speaking, but he fits in the middle of a lineup. So you're going to find a spot for him. It's just it's kind of all over the place where you could see this outcome happen defensively, but about as strong as you get. Look at that, NCAA Division I average. He's like, I don't know. And he doesn't miss pitches in the zone. That's what I'm seeing there too. Like he doesn't miss fastballs in the zone, lifts the ball okay. Yeah. I think he's got might be a little bit better hitting when you're hitting right around Take Davis, you know, when like that guy's right next to you in the lineup and you're a left-right. So he's like feasting on a little bit. Not of bad pitching, but just, you know, when you have that guy standing next to you in a lineup, you're going to be a little bit better. But there's some real impact, quick, short moves to the ball. So it'll all come down to like the kind of swing decisions he makes, but he doesn't strike out. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, you probably have a few guys in there that really like him. It's baffling me that like I'm taking Jacob Lombard as quickly as I
Nico,
can.
so I'm going to make you the bad guy here because Prospect Porch, you got him number 31 with Zion Rose.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. So I'm seeing a guy, great athlete. He killed my team. So I saw that aspect of it. He doesn't strike out a lot. He did good at Team USA. Like I see a lot of things that made me wonder why he was lower, but obviously this is a surprise to the industry. So there's a reason why he was lower. Why was he lower on your board and others?
Well, I guess, yeah, like Adrian said, I mean, he might end up in a corner. I mean, I got to see him in person. I thought he was more of a left fielder, at least when I saw him. I think he's fast enough to play center field at the next level. And then, yeah, it's a bit of a tweener profile offensively. I mean, he makes a ton of contact. I mean, he struck out at a sub 9% clip last year, and he hit 417 in the ACC. So obviously, you know, the hit tool's there, but he hasn't hit for much power so far throughout his, college career. Kind of struggles to pull the baseball in the air, but I mean, I could see why you would do this. The Royals also have the number 30 pick in the draft. So, I mean, Brian Bridges, the scouting director over there, he's kind of well known for, underslotting guys he likes and kind of spreading his pool money out how he wants to. So I would definitely look out for like.
This is definitely underslot.
100%.
Big time underslot. Yeah. So like a big money saver here.
No one saw this coming. I'll say that. Yeah. But there were, I guess, talks that the Royals would do something like this, at least from what people were saying online. But I think most people thought it would be an arm that they like a Gio Rojas or a Mason Edwards. But I mean, I'm interested to see what they do at number 30 now. I'll say that.
Contact skills, man. That in zone contact, it's huge at that level. And, when you strike out 9% or less, that's pretty good. That's going to come up really good in a lot of the models out there. And
it's making a comeback in terms of importance, right? It's always been important, but like the contact, especially like fastball contact, fastball coverage, in zone, like you kind of put a few pieces together. You don't strike out. You make decent swing decisions. You make hard contact on pitches in the zone. And if you only swing at pitches in the zone, so like chase is the only other remaining unknown. If all of a sudden you start chasing, which you will at the big league level, like they're going to get you to chase some stuff. But if you can keep that in like average check, then all the other ingredients are there for like a pretty high offensive floor, a chance for real impact. So, and again, college baseball, there's a very high floor. Like the college baseball is very, very good right now. I'd argue it's the best it's ever been.
Well, here we go. So interesting pick
Eric
here
Booth
for the
Booth
Orioles.
Jr.
Talking about tools and all that, going with Eric Booth. So I'm going to put him and Zion Rose in a similar category here because like with Zion Rose, the question was, can he hit more home runs? You look at him, he looks like someone who should hit home runs. Zion Rose, I'm talking about, but the fly ball percentage is low. Eric Booth, another one, great contact, but from what I've read, from on websites like Prospect Porch, is you don't get the power. So like, I'll start with Manny, and then we'll go to Nico here. Just like in general, with players like this that are making a lot of contact, that you are projecting power, when you draft a guy like this, is there a plan for him? Like, hey, we think he can hit more fly balls. We think we can make this tweak. Like, is he coming with a plan to get the power out when you draft the player?
think that initially, yes, you do have a plan, but you want to play to his strength, right? Like you don't want to say give up the contact skills to get that much power, right? Like I think that contact skills in itself nowadays gives you a lot of value. So I think you kind of like stay there and try to get a little bit of raw power if you can. But I think you play through your strength. If contact skills is your bread and butter and swing decisions is, I think you still like make that the core of your foundation as a hitter, and then try to get anything else out of that. I'll work more a little bit on types of things like defense. Can we improve this defense? That type of thing.
Yeah, Zion Rose, a catcher, now playing outfield. Going to Booth here. Is it a similar deal where you're talking about contact? You like the contact. The guy looks like Bo Jackson. I'm shocked that he doesn't hit homers. But what's going on there?
I'll say the thing with Booth is like he's an elite athlete. Like just in terms of like
70 grade run
times. He tests well on force plates. So from a raw power standpoint, like I mean, you could be talking about plus raw power here. The problem with him is like, it's a little more of like a flatter attack angle to the ball, kind of a choppier swing. It sounds like he kind of made improvements to that, this spring, but I mean, it'll probably take some tweaking at the next level, but I think the traits are there for Booth to kind of, hit for more power at the next level. And he makes a ton of contact. So I could totally see you saying like, I would take this over a Jacob Lombard because I'm confident in Booth's hit tool. And I think that, he can hit 25 plus homers at the next level. If we, tweak his swings, he's going to play center field. He's an 80 grade runner potentially. So I think it's a little bit of a different deal for Booth because I think he has, traits to suggest that he might grow into more power as he matures.
First of all, how do you know all this? Like you're how old? First of all, you're kind of I'm having to pause to just process. But the reality is that you said something that is much more part of the vernacular and process of a team that I think we talk about. Like it used to be TrackMan was the entire rage, right? But like the biomechanical elements are more integrated into draft processes than ever, especially and including force plates. You mentioned most people will just like blow past what that is, but force plates is like a way of measuring explosiveness, basically explosion and power generation and things like that. And when I was with the Marlins, for example, in the Blade draft, I remember it came down to Blade versus CJ Abrams, basically. So high school, I know. It still hurts. And shout out to JJ Blade for like having a resurgence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's a player. You had power concerns with CJ Abrams. You had elite contact ability, elite athletic ability, shortstop. Like he's athletic enough to play. Threshold to play shortstop very high. We'll see how that goes, but the athlete level's there. But I remember one of the things that was discussed, this was in like the force plates, infancy of integration of force plates data. And I remember CJ Abrams measured off the charts. He was rail thin, but that was like the power projector. Like the one guy in the room talking about like, yeah, but I remember Dan Greenlee in the room be like, have you seen this force plate data? And everybody's like, what are you talking about? Like, not what are you talking about? Because you know what it is, but like, you almost don't know how to integrate yet. You don't know that you're going to put all this weight of this decision on this newer data. And so if Nico's saying that the force plate data is off the charts for this guy as well, in addition to like a big run tool, and there's not a whole lot of power present right now, but there's contact present, like that's a good marker. Like there's a lot of good things happening there. Then it all just like boils down. And everything offensively ultimately boils down to swing decisions. What kind of swing decisions are you making? The only guy that gets away with below average swing decisions right now in today's game is Junior Caminero. He breaks every he'll chase, but he has high contact. But the swing decisions are like his. If that guy increases swing decisions, he's far and away the best offensive player in Major League Baseball. But swing decisions are super important in baseball right now, and they are relatively quantifiable, like metrically speaking. With TrackMan data, like we know. And swing decisions doesn't just mean how much do you walk. How often are you living in good counts? What do you do in a 2-0 count? How often do you get yourself into 2-1, 3-1 as the A's take Drew Burris over here, number 8. So that's Georgia Tech with 2 players in the top 8 picks. Yeah. So I want to get to Drew Burris, one of my favorite players, just having watched him in the ACC. But Adrian, just staying on the Orioles real quick, because I wanted to ask you this. they took Vance Honeycutt. It didn't work out or hasn't worked out. Then the last year, I believe they took a couple guys that were more hit tool oriented, if I recall.
Yeah.
Right. Is that a thing where like you've been in the situation where you take a player, doesn't work out, or profile a player, and then you go the other way? I don't want to say any names, but some of them are still in the minors.
You correct.
That's a real thing, right? That's the front offices will go the opposite way.
It depends on, was there a change in scouting director? It's important. Like the GM doesn't make the majority of these picks here. Like we're now, maybe the first round pick, the GM really gets involved more so than usual. But in reality, like their scouting director or whoever, VP of scouting, AGM of scouting, they're called different things now. But like those guys are running point on this. So like each guy stylistically has a different take and a different approach and comes from a different organization. So that to me is like the thing that could influence your overcorrection the most. And, or are you a rookie scouting director? Are you a first year scouting director? You might be a little more risk averse. You might be a little, that's why I'm going to shout out my guy, Justin Horowitz, who's an assistant GM with the Nationals now. But he was the scouting director for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who selected Connor Griffin and Seth Hernandez back-to-back picks. And those were like not risk averse picks at all. They were like, you're taking a risk with these guys in like high spots, and like that's stylistically, like your organization has to support that. Your organization has to back you on that. You have to be making a good enough case. Or remember, draft day is today, but they've been meeting for 3 weeks every single day, same war room. You've been going over the same players, talking over the same players, area scout making a case. But at the end of the day, it's a lonely night for that scouting director the day before. And the scouting director's main role is this draft right here. You needed to have been air traffic control for everybody. But now, today, you make your money. And you got to sign these guys. And a lot of these guys will think that they're worth more than what you want to give them. And so you're like doing high-level math. I remember my guy, Miles Lewis. Shout out Miles Lewis, who was the director of analytics when I was with the Marlins. And he's in the private sector making a ton of money now, but still one of the greater minds and mathematical minds. I would sit next to him in the draft room, and he was keeping the math. I remember looking at the spreadsheet of how it was super complex, algorithmic, but he was keeping the math on how much do we have to shave here to take this guy? How much can we reach for here and still have left later? So it's important that like all these things are happening in real time, and you have the agents. I talked about them before. Like there are certain agents where you're going to be paying a premium with them because they're going to take you all the way to the deadline of signing. And are you really going to risk not signing your first round pick? So then the area scout gets put the most on blast right here. So because the area scout needs to have known a lot about signability. Signability is a part of a lot of the draft. Like scout makes a case for all the players in his area. And your first question as a director needs to be like, well, is he signable? He's a Vanderbilt commit. What's he signable at? Like where, like all these things are super, super, super not only important, but a very obvious matter of fact part of you selecting a player at this level in the draft.
That's kind of like one of the last pieces that the area scout is working on, because he might be done with the area come April sometimes. May, usually everyone's done. And then the next step becomes signability. And it's going to change. Honestly, like you can ask a question in May and it's going to be different the answer in June. It's going to be different 24 hours before the draft. So you being able to digest all that info, how you present that to the scouting director and the rest of the draft room, that's where like relationships come in. You getting to know the agents long ahead of the draft and having those conversations, kind of prep. If you're asking those questions too late, 2 or 3 weeks before the draft, then it's gonna be you're gonna be in a really tough position.
Yeah.
So
and the tricky part is that you're learning a lot. Like your area scout is very active now, especially now. AJ Gracia goes ninth to the. Yeah, I like him. I like him quite a bit too. But you also need to play the draft. Like this draft isn't some fixed thing. It's this like moving, living thing with like, okay, all of a sudden you didn't think you were going to get squared up with, let's just use Jacob Lombard at the 10th pick. You had somebody else in mind, and now all of a sudden you're like, you're seeking information to support like either what's happening or like you can't just like make your pick before the night of the draft because you need to let the draft play out. So you need to build in all these contingencies, all these different like, okay, well, if they go here and then you're trying to get a read from the other team that's going to pick ahead of you. It's like, hey, we're hearing this guy is going to take, like they're taking this guy. So it'll change how you behave. The draft is chaos.
I'm laughing because, Nico's a Gulliver guy. I'm sure you want Lombard to go high.
Yeah.
I'm cheering every time he doesn't get picked as a Marlins fan in the hope that he slips to 14. So we're kind of we have different.
We're getting close.
I'm getting close,
We're getting close.
Shout out Joe Doyle. He says on X, there's at least a small chance this is a noteworthy day for the University of Miami.
Let's go,
So,
baby.
I would watch,
what? Hold on. What?
I would watch. I would calm down, but I would.
Oh, you
I would
can't
watch
drop
it.
that on me and calm down. Are you kidding me? That wasn't even my radar. Oh my God. Let's start raising some money right now, brother. Holy moly. I didn't know that was even in the picture.
So who's the next pick?
Wait,
Rockies.
let me get everybody coordinated here because I want to talk about Drew Burress a little bit because we didn't talk about him. So I'll ask you about AJ. Man, I want to ask you about Drew Burress because you're an upside guy. He's obviously short, but it seems like he's been the best player his whole life at every level. The exit velocity, all that kind of stuff. Like, where are you at on Drew Burress?
No, that's what it is, and he's backed it up with performance. I think that physically it's not like sexy upside or anything like that, but he's done it at a high level in one of like the best teams the last couple of years in college ball. And again, like that matters big time. Those contact skills, that ability to get on base, do not strike out as much, coming out at a good team and flashing some power as well. He hit 25 jacks the first year and at Georgia Tech, so I think like the upside, the performance has been there, so you're excited. It's a high floor type of guy. You kind of know what you're getting over there, and you know what he is.
Adrian, I'm not gonna go to you. Get on the phone. Get off the show. Get off the show. Get on the phone. What are you even doing here? Get off the show. Get off the show.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Get off the show.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nico, on AJ Gracia, Duke transfer, right?
Yeah.
Went with his coach. So what do you see with him as a?
Yeah, again, just a polished college bat. Similar to Curiel. I mean, it's a track record of hitting, makes a ton of contact in zone. It's really, really good swing decisions, bordering on passive, but like he does not swing at balls. So it's an approach that you feel comfortable is going to translate to the next level. It's feel for getting the baseball to the pull side. So, it's power that plays up a little past what his, raw power might be. But again, like this is just a high floor bat that might be able to move quickly. It probably ends up in right field. Like he played center field for Virginia this year, but it probably ends up at right field at the next level. But yeah, just a polished college performer. Yeah.
See, I was joking. Got him off the show. Good. Now I'm feeling good. I didn't expect this, man. This is. I was thinking as a Marlins fan with Lombard, man. The idea. I mean, let's talk about this decision real quick. So now that Adrian has left the room, is that even like a possibility for a guy of that caliber? Has that happened where a guy's projected a top 10 pick on draft day and then potentially goes to college? I can't. When's the last time that happened? It's been a while.
I think Khalil Watson slid quite a bit, so I think that's kind of like, well, no, maybe not outside of like the top 10, but
to go to college and not even go not just get picked late, to go to college.
It's really hard to rule anything out nowadays, especially with the NIL money. Like there's a lot of factors that you're considering. Yeah. So I think that you're still at a point where like anything's possible. So you don't wanna rule anything out right now.
I'm not ruling. Like you see my shirt. I'm not ruling out. All right. So Tyler Bell here. Kind of a late riser. This guy was not on my radar, just again as a mainstream guy. Nico, I know everybody's on your radar at all times. So like, how did this guy go from not the like a Justin LeBron type to getting drafted ahead of Justin LeBron?
Yeah. So the big thing with him was he was out with a wrist injury for a large part of the first half of the year. So that's why you kind of didn't see him on like inside the top 10 on most draft boards, at least in the middle of the year. But I mean, he came back and he just annihilated the SEC competition. I mean, it's a switch hitting shortstop. Gonna stick there at the next level. It might be, solid average hit tool, solid average power, but it's really good swing decisions, similar to Gracia, like does not swing at balls. So yeah, I mean, I love the package here. 21 years old on draft day, draft eligible sophomore. Pretty complete package, high floor. Yeah, I like the pick.
Do you like him better than LeBron?
Yeah, I do like him better than LeBron. I think it's a considerably higher floor. He's done it at the SEC level for 2 years in a row. I mean, I just think Justin LeBron has his game is so volatile, I guess. I mean, and he's really struggled against SEC competition for 3 years in a row. Sub 300 this year. I think he hit 270. unpolished on the defensive side. I don't know if I would take him inside the top 10 picks, but I think if you're a team, maybe towards the back half of the teens, I would consider taking LeBron. But I think with a number 10 overall pick, me personally, that's not who I'm targeting. So I would lean Tyler Bell. Yeah.
Manny, you're in the business right now. So like you're more attuned to trends than any of us by far. This trend of hit tool, we're seeing Lombard. That's the conversation. LeBron, another South Florida guy, you kind of put him in a similar bucket, right? As far as like the tools in the past, you'd say, boom, this guy's top 10 all day, but the hit tool's the question and the drop. Is that what you're seeing? Like, are you surprised by guys like LeBron and Lombard dropping a little bit here?
Yeah, I think that if they're dropping a little bit, it's because of the hit tool concerns, because of the swing and miss. You're seeing something there that, scares you right now at that price tag and that top 10 picks. So that's honestly one of the primary reasons of why guys drop, because heavy concerns on the hit tool and the hit tool foundation, swing and miss, or those kinds of things. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that some teams are shying away from that.
Are you on that side? Because we've seen some guys. I think Connor Griffin, there was some of that. Was there some of that when he was coming out, that the hit tool was the concern with him? Yeah. I know Roman Anthony, I think, was another one where there was some of that too. Like, so we've seen it go the other way where it's undervalued and someone gets, a home run pick. Where do you fall on that? Or are you like kind of like, hey, let those guys drop to me and let me pick them, or do you understand it?
I think you kind of go case by case, right? I think also one determining factor is makeup. How big or not you're heavy on the makeup. Whether you think that guy can make adjustments or not. Because I remember Roman Anthony, James Wood, they flashed some stuff, but they had some issues in the summer, and that's always concerning to me. So then you take it to the spring and you see how they did on the spring, if there were some adjustments or not. And I think Roman Anthony was one of those guys that made some big adjustments in the spring. So you take it with a grain of salt, and I think that's where makeup, and again, like going back to the area scout, the area scout is going to provide that info, those insights on the makeup, where that guy has the work ethic and the ability to make adjustments.
I wish I didn't see you. It's kind of like, you're seeing Good Will Hunting when Ben Affleck goes to the door. He's like, man, I really don't want to see Matt Damon here. I was like, I don't want to see you here. I want to stay over there. Stay over there. Stay on the phone. I don't want to see you here.
That's don't push me into things I can't. I'm conflicted out of talking about.
That's what I'm saying.
Man,
King's
Cats Heat. I'm reading your comments, but there are things that I just can't comment or have.
Oh my goodness.
Have conflict on, but the draft is interesting, is what I'll say. Like the draft, there's something on paper, and then there's what happens day of, and then there's the helium and the sliding and this, like,
Yo-Yo Morales, if we're going to keep it Canes related, Washington Nationals got me thinking about this. Yo-Yo Morales, not as highly touted as, but I think we got to change the channel here. Yo-Yo Morales, not as highly touted as try MLB Network.
Yeah, it's MLB Network. Yeah.
So Yo-Yo Morales was not as highly touted as a Lombard, but was a highly touted player. And I feel he slipped right because of swing and miss too.
He was also, I think, that short version out of high school. He was that COVID year, so I think that made him difficult.
But even out of college, he wasn't a first round pick, right?
Yeah.
And now he's hitting a lot of homers, yo-yos. And I'm just thinking about it because the Nationals are up.
Here's our guy, Manny.
No,
here's
not here.
No, I'm saying here's our guy. One of our good friends runs.
But a few of them in that front office right now.
Yeah, three Red Sox internship alumni.
What does he like? Before we see this pick, before we look at the pick here, what does he like?
You talking about Taboni?
Yeah.
Taboni's a machine, man. He's very, very, very just an impressive.
What does he like as we get ready for the pick?
Does he
like? What kind of player? Like before we see the pick, so we can see if you guys can call it the type.
I don't know that he like stylistically, like that. There's a type, right? I feel like they've made picks kind of in a different range of players and had like really good outcomes. So I don't know that they have a type. I know Horowitz, was the Pirates scouting director. Like there's no hesitation to take a high school player with upside, knowing that could be your biggest. Like I think Seth Hernandez was the best pick of last year's draft to this point. You take somebody 6 overall, they rocket to the number 1 prospect in baseball, and it looks. You talk about guys that look right.
Oh my gosh!
Like that is the most looking right I've seen a pitcher look in a long time. And Seth Hernandez, like complete, absolute dominance as a high school pitcher, and like You go right to the height of the MLB like value board. And what I want to say by that, like the Marlins, when I was there, they used to call it surplus value, right? So it's like, it's this combination of value based on like your prospect status, how many more years you have with the organization, your salary, this like how much you cost the organization if you're making a big salary. So you could be Juan Soto and have like the same surplus value as like Yuri Perez because of the money owed to you and all of that. So Seth Hernandez has to be up in the top 5 players in total major league value right now.
Picked at a time when high school pitchers were like kind of going out of vogue, and you go, hey, we'll go ahead and take them.
Everything is cyclical. Chris Hakopian, Texas A&M.
Well, you already have it?
Yeah, I guess we're on a little bit of a delay here.
Oh, you can't be doing the Adam Schefter.
Yeah, that's my bad. I didn't know it was on a delay.
What? I don't think it is on a delay. I think
So we've now had
Did you get that on Twitter?
No, on the MLB Draft Tracker.
Oh. My draft tracker's on delay. What's going on?
Maybe you didn't refresh.
Right. So here we go. So another college bat here.
Portal player.
Adrian, did you scout him? I'm not talking. I mean, he's picked already.
Yeah. He was part of like an evaluation, but like A&M is able to like land guys without there being much of like a process in terms of like he doesn't open himself up. Like he wasn't open to free agency. It didn't seem. And so kind of moved on pretty quickly because the rumor was that he was, already tied to another program, and that program turned out to be, Texas A&M, where he would go on and have like a really good, just really high floor hit tool with a bunch of solid average, maybe average tools, but with the hit tool being the leading one. And you just went out and did it in the SEC. It's hard not to like this pick, but stylistically, I don't know that I can't say that the Nationals, this is their type of player yet. I don't know. I know that if they're picking him, they got a good process behind it. That's what I do know. If they're taking him here, that means that they really like him for certain reasons. And where is this relative to where he should have gone? Or right on par. Yeah. Right on par.
Yeah.
When you know someone's a second baseman, it's not like a shortstop that you say he might have to move to second. When you say this guy's second, we know he's second. How much does defense factor in? Not that much?
I think when you're talking first round and you're talking middle of the field, like defense always matters, especially nowadays. But I think that also contact skills matter. Like I said it all night long, and I cannot say it enough. And this is one of the things that, sticks out from Hakopian. Single digits strikeout rate the last couple of years. So I think that's huge. Obviously, for second baseman, defense matters, power matters. I don't see that much power, but I do see a very solid hitting foundation right there.
Nico, what do you see with Hakopian? I see you working the phone. Pro, man. This guy's in high school. He's already working the phones.
I can't. I'm still trying to process.
Yeah, again, a high floor college bat. I'd say from like a data standpoint, like I don't have the raw values, but this guy's gonna pop on models just in terms of what he does. In terms of like underlying metrics, he might move to first base, as he matures a little bit. Probably has a chance to play second base, at least like at the start of his pro career. But I mean, you're drafting him for the bat. It's plus bat to ball skills again, really good swing decisions, and hits the ball incredibly hard. It might be on a line. That's probably why he hasn't, hit 20, 25 homers yet. But it's plus raw power, like hits the ball hard, makes a ton of contact, and swings at the right pitches. So from an offensive standpoint, not really a lot to nitpick at.
Not too many holes there. Yeah. And I want to make a case for we're in an era where I think the portal gets hated on a lot. But I think if a player like this doesn't go from Maryland to Texas A&M, I don't know that he goes. It's not that you can't get selected high out of Maryland, but I don't know that he goes in this range because you go to the SEC, you prove that you can do it in the SEC, and that is like that's a big feather in your cap on draft day, versus like he was really good in a conference that was just okay. Like you need to make more projections there. So like, this is a case of the portal being very good to a player's overall stock. I'm sure he didn't do poorly going to A&M, financially speaking, and now put himself into a different stratosphere. I think the 11th, what's the slot at the 11th pick is $12.2 million. Am I reading that? No, I'm reading the total.
6.13.
$6.13 million.
Two out of the last three being in the portal, by the way. And we were going to pick here.
Gracia, right?
No, Grassy already went.
I'm saying you said two players out of
he
the
was
portal,
yeah,
two portal players.
And then,
Sorry.
And then Bell and Burris, I believe, were there the whole time. Bell was Kentucky too. Here we go. Angels. Let's see what we got here. Don't spoil it.
I won't.
So your draft tacker's ahead.
Yeah, it's just popped up right now.
Let's see who it is.
Oh, wow.
Here we go.
Wow.
Okay, so, and by the way,
Outfielder.
outfield. When you guys pick someone, is it like the NFL where you put in their position in the card? Or is that like MLB Network saying it?
Say it again.
It says outfielder on the card. Is
Yep.
that like how it is in NFL where you have to draft them out of position? And like you're not bound to it, but you at least give them a position. Like the team gives them the position. When they
I mean, I've seen it. I've seen a guy get drafted as like an athlete. Kind of like in the NFL where you have like a. But yeah, you're gonna have an outfield assigned to you. But I don't know if he chose to only be listed as an outfielder or outfield pitcher.
So Nico, we're gonna go to you on this one. So get your notes ready. But I want to ask. We'll start with Manny and Adrian. I want to get your thoughts on this. Well, Nico talk about the actual prospect. If we're talking trends, and he's listed as an outfielder, same thing on the draft tracker. We're now at pick 12. I just saw Cole Hamels, one of my favorites. I show my son his highlights. Well, Cole Hamels had a pretty quiet day because there's been one pitcher picked through 12 picks. So, Manny, any kind of for someone in the business, any reaction to the pitchers not coming off the board here?
Not necessarily. I think, like Adrian said earlier, like you kind of play the draft by itself, and each team is doing it, and each team is reacting to the picks, the players that are being taken off the board. So every year, like the demographics are different, and the draft plays out differently. So it's just what it's given you this year, So I don't think you overthink it and just kind of go with the lefty that looks really athletic and good on both sides of the ball.
How much of a reach is this relative to consensus?
I have him as my number 10 prospect.
So
I
he
would
slid a little bit for you.
Yeah, but I would say most people had him, mid-teens. But I mean, this is a little crazy because the Angels are kind of notable for drafting, ready to the big league kind of players. They just fired up Perry Manassian, who was their GM.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess this could kind of signify a shift in philosophy, if you want to call it that.
I think that's what that feels like. Because often that comes with amateur, like when the GM goes, you have turnover across departments, and I don't know what the status of the the amateur department with the Angels is, but like philosophical shifts happen when you move on from a general manager. It's just the reality of what it is. So, and you're going to have, so John Mozeliak is kind of the interim guy in charge for now. And there it is. Notable draft picks in their Mozeliak. Man, and that's who's at the helm right now for the draft. So if you're an interim GM and you have a draft, like I'd be really interested in that room.
That was like the Nationals last year, right?
Yeah.
They had the number 1 pick, so that was pretty fun last year.
Right, but they knew. We had talked about it. Like Rizzo had just been fired.
Yeah.
So like you couldn't really pinpoint what they were trying to do. Where this gets interesting is with the Marlins.
I was say okay. So now we're in Miami land here. So, I mean, the 2 best players from South Florida, one of them will be available.
Yeah.
What's that?
No, so that there's no conflict.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. We won't get you.
I don't want to put you in a.
Well, he was. Wait. Okay, yeah. Tap in. Go to work, man.
The Marlins fan.
Send it in, man.
Send in the Marlins fan.
The panel just got slightly dumber.
No, dude. I was gonna tag out. I was gonna tag out for you too because I was the only expendable one. So,
right,
so it worked out. It worked out anyways.
Back to earth.
No, this has been awesome.
No, man. I mean, I was sitting there like
I was about to tag out,
taking notes. I was like, oh man, he's sitting.
Dude, I was about to.
Can you pass me your laptop? Can I get? No.
I was about to tag out. I was gonna log on to my own website with today's developments.
I'm hoping
here.
for.
No, there's no conflict. It's just not to put anybody in a.
All right, here we go.
Spot where they can't talk about something.
100%.
Let's see who it is.
Oh boy.
Cardinals at 13. What's the slot here? Is
Trevor Condon.
5.6.
All right, dude. Okay.
Trevor Condon.
If Jacob Lombard is not playing in the city of Miami next year, well, he could be playing in Jupiter as well or some other locations. But if he is not in Miami next year somewhere, there's gonna be a problem.
Well, But not because I want to say LeBron came to mind, but I like LeBron.
Ooh.
I really
It's
do.
interesting how many South Florida players you have available to if you
All three.
if you were ever going to like do this. This is probably I would be losing my mind in this draft room.
Hey, man, who's the Marlins area scout right now for Miami, for South Florida? Logan, man, we need you, baby.
Logan Shue does not sound like he's from Miami.
That's good. You'll be objective.
No, well, you can cover South Florida from different parts, not just Miami.
Logan,
you
baby,
can,
we
you
need
can be
you.
a South Florida scout and not live in Miami.
All right, so we got look Condon. I mean, we can break them down, but I'm so locked into this Marlins pick and these South Florida guys, and we're gonna go off the
Trevor,
air
you'll
soon.
get
So
your
let's just-
Trevor will get his time
talk.
later.
Let's
He looks
go
good
real
though.
quick. Before Nico, the 3 South Florida guys.
Yeah.
Who's the best?
I have to say Jacob Lombard.
So you're taking
Dude, he's got history
Heartbeat.
with him.
No, but
Yeah.
like I don't think it's close, honestly.
History
between the
is
three of
good though.
them.
History gives you like a conviction in what you're
Yeah,
saying.
like if you're gonna
you know?
trust me with one scouting
Yeah,
report in
dude,
this
he
class,
has
trust
history.
me. Trust
No,
me.
not only history class with
But-
like, he's
But
in,
it
like,
is
there,
interesting,
like, hanging
though.
lunch, having lunch.
last year's was Ava Arquette, Cam Canarella. Like it was
Right.
more of a college heavy push. Whereas the year before it was more Lando and
Yeah.
Carter Johnson. So like it'll be they've kind of done both
and one worked and one didn't. Not saying that neither approach can work, but that Carter Johnson
To this
that
point.
was a bad draft in retrospect. Like on the top.
Again, the arcs of these things are pretty long. We're just talking about Joe Mack and Khalil
True.
Watson, who at certain points people got frustrated that they were not what they, and now we're talking about them in a different light. So
Adrian Lombard, Gio Rojas, LeBron.
Another Gio lefty.
again, I'm the thing is that all three of them have massive upside. They're stylistically, I've been a very, very big fan of Lombard, but also like I'm also a massive fan of Justin LeBron and can't understand that he's sliding the way that where he was relative to where I would have thought he was starting out this year because it checks so many scouting boxes. But then you have to play the year out, right? You have to play. But Alabama had a really good season with him at the helm at shortstop. So it's like there's push and pull to a lot of this. With Gio Rojas, to me, you can really see I don't know.
An ace.
You can see like Cade Anderson, right? Just to give a guy who went top, like you can see that Cade Anderson must have looked like what Gio Rojas looks like at some point in the track and the timeline. So I think you have like three really interesting outcomes. And shout out to South Florida as a scouting area overall. If this is the discussion we're having, about players from here, we got three guys, potentially in for this pick. But I think it's hard to like look at Lombard and not dream. And then
Really, all three of these guys.
and it's
that you
hard
could
not
dream
to
on all of them.
pull like 30 teams passed on George Lombard Jr. before he ultimately rocketed through the minor leagues and became the Yankees' top prospect. So this quote unquote slide surprises me a little bit because I would think that George would be pulling the stock up because like, all right, we slept on that one the first time around.
Yeah.
If 30 teams could pick again, 29 teams would pick again, they'd probably pick him before.
Is a little
passing
destiny
on.
happening here?
I
Comes
don't.
to play for the hometown, and
Come to play for this
I don't
hometown
know.
right here. I'm double conflicted, but I kind of want this one.
But really, really, as a scout, like I have to like bet on Jacob Lombard, right? Like everything, it would go against everything I felt instinctually as a scout to not feel like that's going to work, but it doesn't work all the time. I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I think there's bloodlines. I think there's a track of like how to be professional in your routine. Like I think Jacob Lombard has been living a professional baseball life for a while now. We talked about
like
it with
Bobby Witt, right?
We talked about it with the holidays last year. We talked about it with the Willits family. Like there is like a value in just already living a professional lifestyle, taking care of your body, being strong as shit, and then being the one thing that I haven't seen anybody in any draft that we've talked about lately be doing like gymnastic style backflips and being like a soccer like
They said he was the
crazy
best soccer player
player
in the country. Like it was like the whole discussion about our best athletes not playing soccer. I feel like Lombard was exhibit 1 in that. Oh, is it out? Are you seeing it?
No, I'm not seeing anything.
Don't even look. Hey, are you
I'm
seeing-
trying
are you-
to pull up video.
Are you looking at?
of
Do you have the spoiler on you?
No, I don't. have
Turn the spoilers off.
Can we
Spoilers
talk
off
about
on
why
what?
so
The
few
pick?
pitchers
yeah,
have been
yeah.
taken
You don't know
early?
yet, dude.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Well, I mean,
So many pitchers haven't.
well, there's not a lot of pitchers at the
Well,
top, but I'm saying like the sample size is like what Tariq Skubal came in late. Miz,
Yeah,
he's the second
true.
rounder. You're seeing a lot.
Brian
so maybe
Wu.
people are like holding off on arms. and saying like there's so much.
But again, the Seth Hernandez throws that all into like a blender
no,
because then you're like, well, am I missing that? You
he's
know,
on my
and
fantasy
so
team on the minor league slot. So
Nice.
we get one minor
Nice.
league slot. Seth is sitting there.
I love it.
But that's why I love this, because you can't really like rest your laurels on like this works in the draft.
Right.
No, the industry has shifted. The industry has evolved. The pick is in.
All right, don't look at it. No spoilers.
All
I
right.
see Manny with a smile. I don't know what's going on. It could mean I take it a bunch of different ways. So
Cole Hamels is talking. Could be Gio.
could
Cole
be.
Hamels.
That's what he's the lefty. Let's hear it. Let's go.
Oh man,
Who's the best lip reader to call this pick?
High anticipation.
I think
They picked him. They picked him.
Wow.
there it is, your boy.
They
Wow.
did it, dude.
There you go.
They
crazy.
did it.
Congrats, dude.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Hometown.
Yeah.
Love it. You can tell him in homeroom. What are we gonna do? What?
Mixed emotions.
Yeah, man. Because
Wow.
you guys are classmates, or
No, he's a grade above me, but I played with him since 6th grade. So
All right, Nico, break
trust
it
me
down.
on this.
All right, give us everything you know. What does he eat for lunch?
So, so yeah, I think Adrian would agree with me. Probably the highest ceiling in this draft class. Elite athlete. I mean, he played 3 sports in middle school. Probably could have gone Division I in all of them.
Wow.
All-state soccer player. But then again, on the baseball side of things, 70 grade runner, tests well explosively, obviously, and then a shortstop just makes everything look easy.
It's a really
I mean,
easy
some
swing,
of the-
by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it a little later, but just in terms of like, I mean, the guy's going to stick at shortstop. I think the arm strength is a little bit of a liability, I would say, but some of the easiest range you'll see at this level. And then with the bat, I mean, it's potentially 70 grade raw power if you want to put it that high. I mean, some of the most like jaw-dropping displays of batting practice you'll watch in your life. Like it's feel to get to the pull side, so like it plays in game. The one thing with him, which is probably why he slid this far, is the hit tool. I mean, below average contact rates on the summer circuit. He still makes good swing decisions. And like you were saying, I think
There it
the
is.
swing aesthetically,
Easy.
it makes sense. But I guess it's just been, 2 summers with, below average contact rates. And as you guys were talking about, I think that's kind of becoming a little more important. But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about shooting for ceiling, I mean, I think Jacob Lombard could be like Bobby Witt Jr. If you want to throw it out there.
They did.
but then
Their
there's-
MLB already did.
Yeah,
I
mean,
like the Connor Griffin.
but if there's
count.
Connor Griffin, yeah. But if there's if you want to talk about kind of the flip side of that, I mean, there's obviously Elijah Green, which is, I guess,
I mean,
a prime example of a kid who's absolutely tool shed out of his mind, but the contact, issues kind of never fully settled themselves once he got into pro ball. But I think it's going to click with Jacob. Like Adrian was saying, I mean, it's, pro bloodlines. Everyone in his family is an athlete. His brother's a top 20 prospect in baseball. I mean,
Yeah, I have so many thoughts, but the first thought is like, you know what? The Miami Marlins, they have won me over.
Let's go.
They have won me over because for so long I've had this kind of gripe about the South Florida area not having so many players provide major league value out of here, and have that happen elsewhere. Have them be prospects elsewhere, I'm proud that the organization would do this, and they've won. Like as we look in their war room, they should be excited. You got a guy with 1-1 upside at pick 14.
yeah.
That's about Khalil Mack was like that too. Khalil Watson, I keep saying Joe Mack, but Khalil Watson was a guy you felt like you were getting 1-1 upside with. I forgot where we picked him, but
Ivar Arquette was getting 1-1 buzz at a point last year.
But to me, this one is like, yes, George Lombard Jr. is tearing it up and is the Yankees like kind of next shortstop in waiting. But like people shouldn't sleep on George Lombard, the dad, who was a first-round draft pick or second-round pick. I got to get him right. I think it was a first-round pick for the Braves out of high school, but he could have gone to UGA as an All-American running back in football. It's not just like, and it isn't just the athlete level. When I first got to the Red Sox, George Lombard Sr. was the outfield and base running coordinator with the Red Sox in my first internship. So like when you're the coordinator and you've been a minor league manager and you've kind of gone through the PD, player development, like coach, manager, coordinator, and now he's the bench coach with the Detroit Tigers. Like it's not just baseball bloodlines. It's like, talk about knowing the ins and outs of a professional baseball lifestyle, right? Like knowing the things. I always say that scouting is just reverse engineering major league outcomes, you know? And this guy Jacob has seen the whole
he came in
track.
the 90s. His kid is playing now.
Right.
I'm sure he has seen the evolution of like what has been the one thing that sticks on these players and and then all the new trends, right? All the new analytics, everything coming into, we're seeing now. You guys were just talking about, what was the one about strength, about generating what is
force plates,
right? Like
explosiveness,
that's all relatively.
He's got a test off the charts on the force plates.
This guy's a father, right? And he played. He's been able to see. I mean, that talk about having visibility to how the game has evolved.
Not only did he play, though, he's like an example. I mean, you see him now to this day, he's in incredible shape, the dad, but they do all the yoga, all the ice bath, sauna, like you're working out twice a day, and it's very specific. Right, it's very it's very tailored to being a major league.
Right. The game outside of the game, right?
The game within the game, outside of the game, however you want to look at it. And so I'm just excited that the Marlins would make this pick. Congratulations to that organization.
You get ticks?
Sorry, tickets?
I mean, you got to get tickets, man.
If he's playing,
But there's as Ryder Helfrich goes 15 to the Diamondbacks here, but I think that's it. We can, we can stop the stream. No, I'm kidding. We don't have to, but I think that's.
No, I think, man, the Marlins. Were you fired up? So now, are you fired up about the second round for the Marlins at this point now? You think they'll go with an arm?
I am, because now you're thinking about other guys that are, if this has slid to this point, like Justin LeBron and Gio Rojas or two other players from South Florida that are, I would imagine we're going to see pretty. I don't know, in the next 5 to 7 picks, they'll both be gone.
Yeah.
Well, he started. He's got to wrap it. Where'd he go?
He probably went to the restroom. Really, really cool, and really happy for the family. That can cut. It can cut both ways. I've seen it cut both ways, where like it's good for a guy to be in his hometown, and I've seen it cut the other way where it's not.
It's like a burden, right?
It can be, and you just have like a different.
Yeah, but I feel like coming from a pro family, like they'll know how to manage that, right? Like,
for sure, I think so, and I think as mom is probably the happiest one in this entire equation, because it's at least on the short term, it's either
tag out.
Jupiter isn't very far, right? So, but it's good that it's Jupiter, and you do get to get out of the bubble to an extent for a little bit, but we haven't tested this out. When was the last time a player from South Florida got picked this high by the Marlins?
Never,
right?
I mean, not never. I mean, Charles Johnson back in the day. I'm trying to think of recent.
We got to go back to 1995.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been any time recently.
Because I remember it could have been Yonder in those days, who was like an all-world. That guy in high school was. That guy was man versus boys in high school.
It's funny, summer ball against Yonder, I always used to get a little bit, because I was like a little crafty. Like that guy was used to just demolishing hard pitching, and I come in and I'm there throwing 70 poo with a little movement, and he was like, dude, because I'm tired of you.
I remember him from the Catholic school leagues play against each other, and he was at St. Michael, and I was a 6th grader when he was an 8th grader. And so, but I was like playing on the 8th grade varsity team. I remember playing against Yonder Alonso, and he looked like he was 24 years old in 8th grade at St. Michael. And it was like
how about Hosmer?
Hosmer we played against as well. I played, Hosmer was my year.
Right, but I'm saying, did he go high? He went high in the draft as well.
Hosmer did go 3 overall to the Royals. But like I'm saying, nobody has gone to the Marlins as like a high South Florida guy pick.
Hometown, no.
It hasn't happened. Again, Charles Johnson?
Yeah, he was.
No, Alex Fernandez was a White Sox.
No, Alex Fernandez. Charles Johnson, the way I could think of. But is he even from Miami? He's not from Miami, Charles Johnson. He just went to UM.
He just went to UM.
Yeah,
but even still, that hasn't been true. That hasn't been true either. So I'm
mixed emotions.
Mixed emotions.
I like it.
Wow.
For the hometown kid. I mean, I want
happy overall though.
Oh, I just want the Canes. It's my mixed emotions. I mean, no, the Marlins, I feel fantastic. Yeah, it's man. Wow,
that's crazy.
What a way to go. So the whole thing and now, by the way, I don't want to spoil it, but I think is done for the day. But like now that we've now seen, was there anything to that? Was that a thing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, come on.
What was the thing?
Well, I mean, he's already gone. He's out the door. That story's done.
Drafted and signed, really
true.
important are two different things.
You gotta be first off.
True,
You gotta be completely blind if hometown kids are not talking to their local colleges and to the teams, and like you gotta be crazy.
It's a $5.4 million slot.
Yeah.
At that pick, it's not an underslot pick.
No.
It's not an underslot pick. So like, yeah, you have to feel pretty good about your odds. But again, it's just important. Like selection and signing are two different things.
Right. Yes.
And then these things can fall apart.
Yes.
With this importance, they often don't. I'm trying to think who was the last guy, Manny, that got taken and we couldn't get to a deal. Gio Rojas, number 16 to Texas. Archbishop McCarthy or this is
Stoneman Douglas.
Stoneman Douglas,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, man, I wish I had a
First high school pitcher off the board.
Yeah. Or
no second.
No. Grinlinger.
But
he was an outfielder.
drafted-
They had him.
I think he'll
listed.
hit. We'll see. I think he's gonna hit.
All right. So, first of all, Nico, have you faced this guy?
Nah, I haven't.
All right. So, what's your take on him?
I mean, yeah, top prep arm in this class, I'd say by a landslide. In my opinion, it's a floor of like, up or a blend of floor and upside. It's probably, I think he's up to 98 from a low slot. It's carry, spins the baseball well. It's feel for a breaking ball, feel for a changeup. And I think he's going to take jumps once he's in a pro org. Like he's pretty raw. And at least from what I've heard, like, I don't want to talk down on the kid or anything, but just from what I've heard, like from a preparation standpoint, like he just goes out there and throws. That's what I've heard, honestly. So I think like sky's the limit. If he fits in the right org, if they think they can, get him to a ceiling, you're looking at a frontline starter. So
Yeah, I think the word they use raw, right? Like that's always that's the word they use.
Well, he's
raw,
not raw.
but like,
He's not raw.
but like, I'd use more like, I tell you about like my shorthand when I'm writing notes. Like, there's no way you don't write like this looks right. As you just like you look at the delivery, you look at the physicality.
The 3 L's, give it to him. I know you want to.
Long, loose, and left-handed. That's an old Stan Meek. Who's a former scouting director of the Marlins, who's, in my opinion, should go down as one of the better ones. Although Stan Meek didn't, with no South Florida picks there either. So we're in a different era of Marlins baseball, clearly, overall.
By the way, we lost.
League
Manny
level.
went straight to the bar, by the way. Or he went to like pop champagne or something.
I'd love.
Oh, there he is. Oh, I thought you were popping champagne. I thought you were you were celebrating.
Yeah, I think this is good for all parties, but yeah, really, I'm still processing. But Gio Rojas,
Who's the third?
Sign me up.
Who's the third?
LeBron.
Justin LeBron.
Oh,
You
LeBron.
can go here. This is a landing spot, maybe.
Yeah, any landing spot at this point is like
So
it would make sense to take him.
So I don't know who's seen enough of both, because I know you saw more of this guy in high school, the first guy I'm going to say, and Nico, you probably saw more of Rojas. But if I were to compare Luzardo to Rojas, how do they kind of stack up and compare? Same high school, same, the lefties throwing 97, whatever they throw.
Luzardo is probably a little more like tightly wound, kind of not. This is more loose and fluid. Yeah. Luzardo was a little more like quick twitch. From what I remember, man, did you see Luzardo in high school? I don't remember seeing him in. Yeah, there was an injury, but I see them like stylistically different, even though they're both left-handed from Stoneman Douglas. So like, I see the direct connection. Luzardo's that would be a great outcome for this kid to be anything like Jesus Luzardo, who's fronting like a division leading or division competing rotation. So I don't know, man. This one, I think Texas gets a good one here again, and Texas has been a team to go and get guys from this area too. So I think you're a very happy South Florida area scout right now if you just got this at 16, in my opinion. And in terms of like the preparation stuff, like I'm not going to hold that against the kid, and I'm also not going to hold the program accountable for like letting a player like just be himself. If he's that good and he's that dominant, like if it ain't broke, don't fuck with it too much.
There's a difference between like a lack of prep, which is a very young man's mistake, right? And conduct issues, like if this is just like a guy, hey man, he's just loose out there and he likes to go out there with not a lot of prep and not a lot of. That's great. He'll learn that later on in life. Like that's something you pick up. And I remember coming into the business, 16 years ago, and you're a totally different animal. I was all instinct and piss and vinegar and little, over time, life wears you down. You got to get smarter. You got to work smarter than you do harder.
By the way, you guys played high school baseball here in this area. I didn't. Like, does he have to prepare, or don't they have to prepare for him?
Yeah.
We used to do charts even manually.
There's no advanced information to a certain extent. Like, I don't know.
It's about him particularly, not like people.
I think he
probably doesn't have to prepare that much.
The injury component is the thing that it makes you more. You should always, as a pitcher especially, incorporate some sort of like movement, motion, mobility, elasticity. Like the more you do that, the better position you're going to be in injury wise. As the Astros take Logan Hughes here at 17, surprise.
Surprise. I mean, I kind of saw him more as a back half of the first round kind of talent, but I can see why you would take him here.
Look, comp to Kyle Stowers, man. Shout out for Stowers getting comps now.
I like a comp to Devin Taylor, who I think A's took him last year.
Indiana.
Just very similar profiles, and he's probably going to be a left fielder, first baseman at the next level, but like he just absolutely mashes. Like in terms of like making, again, similar to Hakopian, makes a ton of contact, hits the ball hard consistently. It's power that plays to all fields now, so you're not going to have to worry about him getting to that power at the next level, but probably a model favorite from an offensive standpoint again. I mean, I know there were people that had him mocked inside the top 20 picks.
So that's
low punch, high walk, high homer output. Like
going to Houston, right? Like good hitting, right? Like they're not shy.
I remember this guy now that I think about it, because it was him and it was the guy from Florida, the center fielder from Florida Gators.
Talking
to you
Kyle
now.
Jones.
They were on the same team, weren't
That's
they?
right.
Stetson?
Yeah. Yes, they were.
I know he was
Both
on
portal
our radar.
players.
How did Texas? I mean, I know he was on our radar. So Texas Tech, man, what are they just throwing money around? How did they get a kid from DeLand all the way over there? Big 12.
Texas Tech has they have
Oil
financial resources. Yeah, definitely oil money, but they have
I heard their facilities are very
they're like a really well respected.
Am I getting older or are they looking younger?
You're getting older. They do look exceedingly young, but they're. I think
it's a me
I think
problem.
it's also the
100%.
other
It only
thing
gets
as
worse.
well. But it's
Unbelievable.
I'm still.
Yeah, no, we're still on the lumbar. We should switch to the whole lumbar
I'm still on
podcast
it.
here. This is the second year in a row, by the way, as a Marlins fan, where like the pick made us happy, made us cheer. Because last year, Ivar Arquette, we were sitting in the same seat going crazy. Like, man, we got this guy. Like, I thought this guy'd be off the board. He's not the kind of guy we usually pick. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I was not setting myself up for disappointment, but I was like very set, like, no, there's no way. Like, this is lining up too well. And then it happens and you're like, all right, you guys have, and maybe this is a good place to like kind of land this thing. Cause we started talking about the Marlins and we can kind of, there's going to be more picks. We could sit here.
Yeah, no, we got more to talk
podcasting
about here
for
with
my
hours
wife
here.
is gonna kill me.
Yeah, mine too. But at the end of the day, like, I do think that the Marlins have kind of graduated into this different era, or that hopefully we've graduated into this different era of Marlins baseball. Is kind of like where things start to separate from the bottom of the tier.
I don't know. I'm still a skeptic. You know what?
Yeah, I had been to this point, but like we have 81 games now. You know, like we have
and
last
the
season,
end of last season.
the end of last season, we have 81 games. We have guys like Canarella like knocking on the door. There's like good pitching prospects. Yuri Perez is fresh off throwing like almost perfect games. Like Sandy it's not clear that we're going to be sellers at the deadline.
No.
It's not clear which direction they'll go, but it looks like they're in a position to add. And then you're picking high ceiling, like Jacob Lombard is the ceiling pick.
Right.
Regardless, you don't know where his floor is, and that's probably why it's slid to 14. But ceiling is through the roof. You can
Don't
really
get me wrong,
dream.
I'm not a skeptic about this year, right? They're
Right.
clearly like trending to having a great season. I'm a skeptic to see how they will supplement this talent by spending a little bit of the,
It's not just to spend, though. I agree with you. I
Like,
think I'm on that
you
point.
don't have
like,
to go. I'm not talking about get the top guy, right? But you like at some point you have a core and you're like, man, you just supplement.
Yeah, but yes. But what I would say to that is like the trade deadline offers you possibilities to make upgrades without like free agency, massive spend. You know, like I think about 2020, you know, when we traded for Starling Marte, right? Like you can make things happen at the deadline that 2 days before the deadline, you would have thought were like no shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Marlins probably thinking, no way we're going to get squared up with Jacob Lombard at pick 14. Right. Maybe they did. I don't know. They have better information. But my point is at the deadline, I can't overstate how much of a shot of adrenaline in the leg when you're like, there were 81 games in with a very young team who has never played, with nobody who has played deep into the postseason. You guys don't know what this second half run is going to be like. So this injection of veteran Justin LeBron goes 18 to the Reds.
South Stewart, baby, little South Florida
flavor. 3 South Florida guys in the first 18 picks. You need, to me, it's very difficult to go from not winning, and now we're going to win a World Series. There's a progression into.
Yeah, we're spoiled in that way. We're the only ones that do it.
Right, but it's not sustainable.
Right,
then agree. It goes after that.
Absolutely.
So, like, hopefully we're now in this era where you, like, graduate to this next level of, like, postseason competition. And I'll say, you square up with the Marlins on any given day and you got Sandy, Meyer, and Yuri.
Yep.
It's not a very fun, like,
that's
projected match.
No, absolutely.
It's not a fun. Again, I go back to the 2020 thing because I was a part of it. Like, the Cubs won their division in 2020 by a mile, but they squared up with Pablo Lopez, Sandy Alcantara, and Sixto Sanchez. Like, sorry, it wasn't your year.
Yep.
The matchup wasn't good. And I think the Marlins possess that with everybody, with a little bit of a higher floor than they've had with any of those, the 2023 team or the 2020 team.
Offensively, way better.
Significantly much higher floor and a balance across the rest of the team. But there are going to be upgrades available, and it's not always the obvious guy that you think is going to help you, man. Like I've seen, you know, Adam Duvall goes in 2020, you know, not 2020, but 2021 to like trade deadline acquisition with the Braves, and like he's not the obvious guy, but right guy, right spot for that team pushes them into this run in the postseason. I think you need those shots of adrenaline. You can always use another reliever, another leverage reliever. You can always use another starting pitcher, obviously. But
like a back of the rotation setup guy.
Add a bat and add an arm. That's the way I see it. Like and you have to also be you have to be making trades, man. You have to be active. You have to be so I think, you know, the Marlins, to me, with their ultimate 2026 outcome, is already somewhat of a success. I don't want the foot to be let off the gas.
No,
because I think you have something. It's hard to be in these windows. Young team, and you have 3, you know, like healthy-ish pitchers pitching well for different reasons. Meyer pitching at the height of it. Yuri just coming back and showing flashes. Sandy not being Cy Young Sandy, but still being very good. Like those windows, they can be much more elusive than you think. And when you project that out to next year, like we could have 2 more injuries next year. You know, we thought Snelling and these other guys would be part of this mix, but they're not. So, like, I think you do have to try to cash in when you can and when you're close. But yeah, shout out to the Marlins overall. I was suspicious, but I'm happy about it now, and I think we could start. Danny, however you want to.
Well, I got a couple quick things to end it on. I know we got to get out of here. LeBron, shortstop all the way, like no third base because he's a big guy. Like, is he shortstop all the way? That's
to me he is. I don't see a reason to like think about him in a different direction. Now, if you're all of a sudden, you know, you have Ellie De La Cruz in that organization and it's not a need, you either have a really high trade asset that you like.
I'm not even talking about LeBron. I'm still stuck on LeBron. LeBron shortstop all the way.
Yeah, to me he is. But I'm saying,
there's about okay.
If Ellie De La Cruz is your starting shortstop and you're getting there fast.
I'm the one messed up. I was asking about Lombard. I'm sorry. Lombard safe shortstop all the way.
Yeah, I think it
could end up being like a second Chase Utley type.
If you're so big that you're a third baseman and then you're like Troy Gloss, you know, cool. You know,
you're saying him going to third, but wasn't arm strength a concern?
Yeah, arm strength. I've seen like Baseball America has like a 55 on the arm.
That's enough.
That's
It just can't be.
It's not.
It just can't be a 40.
It's not a 55.
This is where I think
it's
Xavier,
probably a 50, 45. But he's he's worked on it. It used to be a little worse, but
I'm not worried about it. He moves his feet really well.
Yeah.
Some of the way to overcome shortness and arm strength is kind of picking up ground with your feet.
Right? Yeah.
Remember Brock Holt? Remember that name? Brock Holt had like a 40 arm, dude, like a 40 arm. And that guy never didn't make a play at shortstop or on the left side of the infield. John Birdie was a little bit of the same, like a bad arm action, it was like a 35, 40 arm scouting wise, but they move their feet so well and they work towards first base and they're accurate, or they know how to skip the ball off the ground on like deep throws where like they can get away with a average to below average arm. And I think in this case, if there's deficiency in the pure arm strength, then you pivot to like, okay, well, how does he move his feet? And in this case, the soccer player doing backflips, I like his odds.
Yeah.
So you can overcome lacks in arm strength and still play the position on the left side of the infield. Now, when you have a backhand in the hole and you fucking rip one across at 97, that always helps. Like Mason Wynn, for example, you watch that guy play shortstop. Like that guy can stay back, field it back here, and he can still throw anybody out. Yeah. As who just took
a game we were at here.
This is Guardians.
Yeah, a game we were at.
Yeah, we were at that game.
So okay, and
had a good
who also at that game was Jacob Lombard actually. Okay,
Oh,
so
that's right.
so Lombard, because his size, I assume, if it's not shortstop, it's third. So with him, the threat is the arm makes him move to second, but you're thinking short.
Yeah. I'm thinking short, and then if you really, unless like it's not functioning on the infield for whatever reason, then it immediately goes to like Connor Griffin's scenario isn't out of the question for me. And Connor Griffin is playing short. Yeah. You could see that playing, like, where's the other position where your athleticism could really eat? And that's center field. I don't think we're in that territory. None of the scouting reports really push him off of third. You can make physicality arguments, but remember with Xander Bogaerts? He's going to move to third. He's too big. Carlos Correa, he's too big. He's going to move to third. Like, there's a way to figure this thing out. Connor Griffin is massive, and like there's what's the athlete level like, and that's where he might be the best athlete in the class. Total pound for pound athleticism.
For my money, yeah.
So
yeah.
Really, really fun, sexy pick for the Marlins.
I'm fired up. So Nico, you get the last word here before we bring it home. Just overall thoughts on the draft, and we're still not. Look, we're just starting, really. Yeah. From Manny's perspective, this is just the beginning here.
At least the top 20 or top 15.
No, I would say, a good amount of it has gone to chalk, but there's definitely been some shockers. I definitely didn't expect Zion Rose to go 6, Lombard to fall to 14. What I'm more interested in is like, kind of how this 20 to 40 pick range kind of plays out, because if you listen to other podcasts, you'll hear them say it, like there's a big divide between kind of the top of the class, and then there's not really like a, I guess, consensus separation between, there's like basically a big pool of players that you can all make a case for as, the 21st best in the class. So I'm really interested to see kind of how these next couple of picks shake out. But
no, that's your own live stream, bro. My wife is gonna kick me.
I do want to say something though. Like, follow the prospect porch, man. If Nico hasn't proven it to you over the course of this stream here, like, just shout out to young guys in the game, this interested and this knowledgeable and this, and like actually taking action with that, as opposed to, I don't know, just leaving that in some space that nobody gets to find out about. I think like putting it out there through like, and using the tools at your disposal right now to like put something out there, and then put yourself out there. And I don't know, man.
Future GM.
I'm very impressed, and I'm not easily impressed.
Yeah.
But Danny, what are we gonna do about El Big League Show, man?
I got some thoughts.
What do you want to do here? Because I don't know.
I got some thoughts. I got some. The brain is the wheels are spinning.
I do enjoy every time we get back to talk about it. I do like the group conversation.
Listen, we gotta. The wheels are spinning. We're going to talk after the show. The wheels are spinning.
All right.
All right. So we'll save that because
we have a few episodes that we haven't aired.
Oh yeah, we got listen.
Alex Spear.
The wheels are spinning. That's all I'll say.
Putting out an invite to Peter Bendix.
Oh yeah. Hey.
Like we're here.
Showing him love. But no.
Gabe Kapler.
I got some things up our sleeve. So we'll talk in a second. But
still got to get David on the stream. Yeah, he's told me no too many times.
Shout out to Manny.
Oh, of course, shout out to Manny for being here. Shout out to David, Micaela, Mr. Perez over there. And it makes me want to keep having these discussions. It makes me want to we haven't to this point because everybody's got a pretty busy life, but I think it's clear that we all kind of enjoy it or take some joy out of this. And I just couldn't let the draft pass and us not acknowledge it and do it. I don't know that I have the stamina to do.
Well, look how the universe
live
rewarded
stream
us
every
by the
day.
way. By the way, look how the universe rewarded us, man. We came together and it gave us Jacob Lombard, man. How could it have
interesting.
worked out better? I mean, I can think of one way it could have worked out maybe slightly better.
Yeah, I could think of it too.
But this is a
Yeah, I
second
could
best
think of it
outcome.
as well.
So, you know.
No, but this is good, and I think the move is to like spotlight certain things that we're interested in. Jake Schaffner.
Yeah, so this is what I'm talking
ACC.
about.
20.
Picks 20 through 40. Like names like this. I mean, probably projected second rounder.
Yeah,
Hold on. I'm gonna end. I know your wife's gonna really kill you, but I gotta add this up. Adrian, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. I mean, ACC, I think, might be matching the SEC or pretty darn close through these
going
few
toe
picks.
to toe with the SEC in terms of that's good.
It's got to be pretty close.
That's good. I all due respect to the SEC, I am tired of it being treated like some other world that isn't, you know, and that the other, especially like the ACC is some sort of
5-5, actually 6-5.
You know, it's I think the ACC needs a little more respect in terms of quality of baseball, and like the picks are probably like the biggest thing in their favor, right? Yeah. Although North Carolina made a nice deep run into the College World Series this year, you know, but I think there isn't this massive gap between these two things. I would say across the board, the SEC has a very high floor, you know, so.
But who these high school draftees, man? We're going.
Where are they doing this?
These guys are all college guys.
They're doing. I'm looking at the Red Sox draft room. That's at the Commonwealth down the street, Manny. Remember the Commonwealth? Yeah, that's where all the players would get housed and intern days.
All right, so listen, like and subscribe.
Yes.
We got some announcements coming soon because we got some stuff cooking. Appreciate you guys joining us. For Big Red, for Manny,
I got a
for
shout
Nico,
out.
Prospect Porch, for Adrian. Shout it out.
Canes Cats Heat. You know, like it was a diehard. He was already commenting last night when we.
Yeah.
I don't want to kind of disregard the comments or anything, but the conversation was just flowing too much to also kind of be locked in on that. But we appreciate it, guys, very, very much. So sounds like the consensus is to do more of it. So we'll talk.
Okay. Go Canes, baby.